RAAF roulettes, and the parachutists aren't the only aerial display this weekend on Mount Panorama, or above Mount Panorama I should say. That's the Whitman's Lightship. We're looking at it from the Channel 10 chopper, and now the Whitman's Lightship will look at the Channel 10 chopper for us. There we go. So that'll give you an idea of how some of these amazing aerial pictures are coming to you across Australia for the Primus 1000 Classic. There's the camera up the front there. And I tell you, there's plenty happening on the ground as well. Wayne Gardner has taken the lead in the race. Stephen Richards has just been taken by Larry Perkins, so it reads Gardner, Perkins and Richards now top three in the Primus 1000 Classic. Looks like we're in John Faulkner's car there, and he's not happy. Unfortunately, Faulkner had moved up to 8th, of course running as a level 1 car in this race after winning the Privateers Cup in 1997 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. We'll go back to Mark Oster and Lee Diffie.
Looks like big problems here for John Faulkner. If you have a listen, you can hear some clunking. Very distinctive clunking on the car. It could be a propeller shaft has failed on the car, something in the transmission. Very distinctive noise when one of those goes. He's going to try and limp it around the pits. No, he's not going to make it. Well, he's not very happy about it either. So Faulkner now is stuck on the inside of the GAO cutting. Some sort of major problem in the drivetrain has stranded him there. He hasn't even made it to the top of the hill. And that could be our next safety car period. Keep in mind, now battle for the lead, Stephen Richards, Larry Perkins and Alan Jones are still yet to make their brake pad changes, but this could be the opportunity they've been waiting for. John Faulkner there talking to his crew. He's got no throttle response. Meanwhile, there's a real attack. Oh, look at the Valvoline come to get a little bit sideways coming into the corner there. This was a little incident that happened just a little bit earlier, and that allowed Larry Perkins to pounce. Richards was a little bit slow coming out of that corner. Larry Perkins saw his opportunity, and like the true professional he is, took the most of that opportunity to move into second place. So now, hang on, what's happened here? John Faulkner now is back to the race. Just heard that clunking, that really bad clunking in the transmission. And all of a sudden, he's back into the race. So maybe not a transmission failure, maybe it was an electrical problem or something in the car. We'll find out, no doubt. He gets back to pit lane. Fortunately, he's been able to get that car going again. Look at the telemetry coming from the better electrical Commodore. As he brings it down the mountain, he'll no doubt be pit bound to see if they can solve that problem, but that car just stopped coming up the hill. He thought he'd be stranded there for a long time, but fortunately he's managed to get it going. So John Faulkner brings it down the hill, was in 9th position, 78 laps completed in the Primus 1000 Classic, brings it down through Forest Elbow. And looks like it's running pretty well now. So all that clunking and banging in the transmission, not indicative of what the problem was. It seems to be running fine. We'll see when he gets back to the pits. There goes our race leader, Wayne Gardner, putting a lap on John Faulkner. So things not going too well for the better electrical camp at a time when they were looking pretty strong.
That's a real shame, isn't it? Because they've been in a good form patch of late, picking up 4th, both John Faulkner and Wyn Percy, the Sandown 500 on September 14. But, things not going so well here today.
Well, when he was coming up the hill, that clunk, clunk, clunk in the transmission sounded like something may have gone, but I think it was just the fact that the engine was dying and it was really loading up the gears in the transmission. So hopefully nothing wrong with the transmission. It's just a minor hitch that they can fix, but that's not what you want at this stage in the race. The battle really heating up at the front. 81 laps completed for our race leader, Wayne Gardner.
And how about this? Your top privateer, Chris Merton, is in the top 10. John Smales.
It's indeed. The problem they seem to think is in the engine management system. The engine management system is loading up the spark box, which in fact sends electricity into the engine, and that they think is the problem. Rob Benson, who's built the engine, is round the left-hand side of the car at the moment. You can see the old spark box come out of the car. Benson having a look at it right now. New one being taped in. Benson giving the team instructions as to how to go about it. Les Small was prepared to take the, Les Small being the team manager, was prepared to take his earphones off and give the thing away only half a lap ago. Then all of a sudden, new life in the team. Here's the box happening right here. You can see the new spark box going into the car now. Benson in there trying to get it to work. Race tape, ultimately the ultimate fix-all for all race teams. The race tape now going into action to take the thing in. Benson, not only an engine builder but also an electronic whiz, and you've got to be with these cars because they are very, very much computer controlled.
And as we
about to come up,
as we watch on, John, agonising seconds ticking away. They've already been there for 1 minute 10 seconds, and you cannot afford to drop that amount of time at this level of competition.
Well, remember when Alan Jones and Scott Pruitt put down a 51-second pit stop? We just sort of all cringed at that.
Just shows you can get a pace car. You don't go a lap down. You can stay on that lead lap. You get a pace car. You can get right back into the battle. But this is costing a lot of time.
This will be frustrating, John Faulkner. No end. He's such a competitive driver. Look at him talking to Rob Benson.
Yeah, well, that's the price you pay. These modern electronic systems, they're absolutely fantastic in terms of delivering optimum performance from an engine. But as soon as that black box decides to have a bit of a headache, it really is a mystery. When you start changing around black boxes and electronic control units, you've got a real chase on your hands.
So Wayne Gardner continues to lead the 1997 Primus 1000 Classic. He's doing it in great style. That last lap at 2:13.4. Almost, well, 1.5 seconds quicker than Larry Perkins on that last lap. So he's going extremely well. Speaking of going well, how about these guys? Trevor Ashby and Steve Reed, partners in business in the Lansvale Smash Repairs business. Partners for a record 12th year.
Yeah, it's a great effort, isn't it? These two have been friends since childhood, actually. Trevor and Steve grew up in Sydney's West, set up the Lansvale Smash Repairs operation together, and then they, earning enough money, they decided they'd go motor racing. They've been doing it for a long time, and they really are a bunch of characters. And look at the preparation and the appearance of this car. It's always one of the most stunningly painted cars, and they're doing a terrific job at the moment. Ashby currently running in 8th position, well inside the top 10. They're looking for a strong result as this day wears on.
Followed by 50-year-old Sydney-sider Terry Finnegan. Terry's had a pretty reasonable year in the Sony Auto Sound Commodore. He was top privateer at Eastern Creek and finished 7th outright, which he was just delighted with. Plenty of experience here at Bathurst. He's twice a class winner, and he finished his best result here as 8th, 1991.
Well, it's very much a hands-on privateer, Lee. He's does it not on a lot of money. He certainly built this car himself. He uses Rob Benson Chev engines as a customer, runs on Yokohama tyres. But as you say, 50 years of age, he's been a long-time campaigner, former open-wheeler racer. Won his class here way back in 1980. He was 8th at Bathurst in 1991, his strongest result so far. So Terry, currently running in 9th position, will be looking for a strong result here.
Been racing for 31 years, and you just can't buy that experience, especially here on the mountain. Gardner leads the way in the Coca-Cola Commodore. He's doing a terrific job from Perkins, Richards. Then we go back to Jones and Larkham. 6 back through 10. Let's take a look at it. It's O'Brien, Seaton, Ashby, Faulkner, and Stephen Johnson.
Welcome back to a magnificent day at Mount Panorama as the big race continues. The Primus 1000 Classic, and Wayne Gardner leads the way in the Coke Commodore. Now, we've already checked out our first 2 selections in the Holden banner competition. Here are our final 2 out of the 4 picked by the 10 commentary team. Banner number 3, if you think that's your choice, dial that number on your screen, 1902 550 638. 1902 550 638. They have to have a metre-high Holden logo on it, and I think they've done a pretty spectacular job on that one as the Mobile 05 eats up the Falcon. This is banner number 4 for you. Goodbye, Brocky. It's got the first car that Peter Brock drove in and the last car also, the 05 Commodore. The number for that one, 1902 550 639. 1902 550 639. They are banners number 3 and 4. Later on, we will be showing you all 4 banners. All you've got to do is make your selection, phone it through, and this is what you could win, a Holden SS Commodore. It's worth $40,000. There is a cut-off point for this. 3 p.m. Eastern Time is your final chance to get it in. If you're in Adelaide, that's at 2:30, 1 o'clock for Perth. Let's get back to the race.
Just over the halfway mark in the Primus 1000 Classic, and it's Commodore 1, 2, 3, Falcon 4, 5, 6 and 7. There is the Donut King Diet Coke Commodore of Wayne Gardner, the lead driver, and now the race leader, lapped at 2:13.6, so he's going very, very quick. Just a moment ago, Alan Jones, in fact, had clocked the fastest lap. He was down among the 2:13s, but now he's out to 2:15 again, probably striking a bit of traffic somewhere. But Gardner, 2:13.6, looking good. An 11-second break on the second car, Larry Perkins, and we're inside the Wayne Gardner Commodore right now, and there's the 1987 World Motorcycle Champion. Here now is Larry Perkins taking over the drive again from Russell Engel. Last lap was a 2:15.57, second place in the Castrol Commodore, but they are a very, very solid combination. Inside now with Larry, experience counting for a lot here. Five-time Bathurst winner. Has won the race, of course, with Peter Brock, who's no longer taking part, but still hoping to get the 05 back out on the track before this thing's over. And the HRT team working feverishly. But now it's up to this Castrol team and, of course, the Diet Coke Donut King Commodore to carry the Holden Lion perhaps to victory. A little sideways there as Larry puts the pressure on over the top. Stephen Richards in third place right now, and only a second, nearly 2 seconds now behind Larry. There's the gap between the top two cars, though, just over 11. But Perkins trying to apply a little pressure there as we see him come back down the mountain in the number 11 car, and Richards behind him, almost hitting the wall as he came down into Conrod Straight. Alan Jones in the Komatsu Falcon is fourth, and there's only a gap of 1.5 seconds there. Jones lapping very, very quickly, so he's hoping to put some pressure on this car right now, the Stephen Richards Commodore. Father Jim taking a rest, and this is a very, very good combination. The Team Valvoline VR Bridgestone tyres, 12th in the Australian Touring Car Championship. Of course, they both also drive in the Super Tourer Series. They were 5th at Sandown, and Stephen is really coming along well. But pressure on now from the Komatsu Falcon of Alan Jones. Has a look behind him. They come back into pit straight now. Jones putting a lot of pressure on Stephen Richards. Scotty Pruitt back down in the garage. He had a stint in commentary with the Network 10 team and is now warming up for another drive. But Jones has been very, very quick and still hoping for his first win at Bathurst. Also a world champion. Formula One, of course. So 2 world champions in the top 4, and both hoping for their first win in the Primus 1000 Classic as Jones goes on the inside of Richards, but not close enough to take him. He had the right line. They're ahead of Larkham in 5th, Charlie O'Brien in 6th, and that Longhurst O'Brien Falcon, Castrol Falcon, and a very long stint Charlie's had behind the wheel as well. Seaton and then Ashby. And Stephen Johnson has done a remarkable job bringing the Shell Helix Falcon back into the race with Craig Baird. They rejoined after some mechanical problems in 23rd position. They've now brought it back up to 9th. And as we see Jones all over the back of Stephen Richards, we'll go back to Mark Oster and Lee Diffie.
Yeah, big attack from Alan Jones here as he closes in on the back of the Valvoline Cummins Commodore. This is a real fight to the finish, isn't it? These guys have just dug in now. It's going to be a grind, lap after lap after lap. Who can sustain the pressure? It's going to be a real test of mechanical preparation, a real test of driver fitness as they wind these laps down. They've got a long, long way to go yet. It's going to be a real fight. Well,
it's just fantastic. You got 3 of your top 4, and there's only one guy there that has actually won here at Bathurst, and that's Larry Perkins. Well, one team, Larry Perkins and Russell Engel. There seems to be quite a bit of smoke coming out of the back of the Komatsu Pertec Falcon. So whether Jones is running into some problems or not, can't quite bridge the gap to Stephen Richards down Conrod Straight. Now he pulls out of the draft. Jones looking for an inside run, and he's got him. Has he not? No. Jones. Stephen Richards has hung on nicely. Now he switches the over and under trick, and he's got him. How about that?
Alan Jones on the inside, a little bit slow coming out. Stephen Richards tries to take advantage of it. Thinks it's a 1000k race. This is a Shell Series sprint race. Alan Jones on maximum attack down the inside of the Valvoline Cummins Commodore. He takes that away from the 25-year-old Victorian, and he moves up a position. Alan Jones now moves into 3rd.
Well done, Alan Jones. A great move. Stephen Richards fought hard, though, and eventually had to allow Alan Jones to get on through. Lap 88 of 161. Obviously, we are over the halfway mark. Just got a quick shot there of the Castrol Commodore of Larry Perkins. So Jones has got the lights on. He's coming up on a slower car. I think it was the Kevin Heffernan Price Attack Commodore. Here's a replay from above from our chopper. He goes over one side. He's got the inside run through the right-hander through Caltech's chase through the King, and he says, I won't get you that way, Stevie, I'll trick you. As Stephen brings it across, Jonesy dives to the inside and says thanks.
Well, that's vintage Alan Jones. Very, very aggressive racer. Stephen thought he might have been a bit slow coming out, but he carried enough corner speed to block out the Valvoline car. But that smoke just pumping out the back of that Komatsu Ford, that may be a bit of a worry to the team. We'll keep an eye on that. Just a little bit of puffs of blue smoke coming from the back of the car. It's certainly not slowing it down. Alan Jones just on a 2:15.14 on the lap, including overtaking Stephen Richards. So there's plenty of speed out of this Komatsu Ford. Wayne Gardner's just on a 2:14.03. Larry Perkins some 11 seconds behind the Coke Commodore, a 2:14.27. So that battle for the top three positions, very, very tight.
This has got to be Wayne Gardner's best opportunity to win here at Bathurst as we watch Alan Jones work his way down. Here's a replay of an earlier incident. This is Len Seaton unlapping himself, passing Charlie O'Brien. Charlie goes off to the right. Len Seaton ducks down the inside and takes that lap back.
Well, it's a tremendous battle because Alan Jones is now only 3 seconds behind Larry Perkins in second place. He really is charging. We're on board with Glenn Seaton. Just saw him unlap himself. We're almost 3.5 hours into the Primus 1000 Classic XR Falcon onboard camera. You're riding with the 1997 Shell Australian Touring Car Champion. Let's hear the roar of the Ford V8.
with the newly crowned Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. You'd be surprised at how many requests we get for that. Just no commentary and a solid lap, just listening to the drivers work these big V8s around whatever track. It's just amazing to listen to. Fantastic pictures coming to you here on your home of motorsport. Certainly hope you're enjoying it. There's plenty of people enjoying it here on the mountain. We've just received word from the organisers, a record crowd of in excess of 52,000 here to watch the V8 Supercars on Thunder Mountain.
Well, that's extraordinary, isn't it? The biggest crowd previous to that, I think, was 47,000, 48,000 back in 1987 when they had the World Touring Car Championship round here and all the European teams came over. But that's just an indication of the strength of the domestic V8 Supercar formula. New record crowd at Mount Panorama and they're at every vantage point they can get. There's a couple of websites, Primus 1000 internet access, plenty of information on those pages if you want to take a look. And they're available right now if you're on the internet.
Well, as much as we're enjoying the pictures and the race here in Australia, a big hello to our viewers via TV3 New Zealand. We've got a huge following over in New Zealand. The V8 Supercars, very, very popular. Hello to everyone over there, and hope you're enjoying the coverage as well.
Great shot there from the Channel 10 chopper as he follows Glenn Seaton across the top of the mountain in the Ford Credit Falcon. Lap 90, Primus 1000 Classic. Let's check them out on the Holden race score. Gardner and Compton continue to lead, just a 12-second lead over Perkins and Engel. Jones and Pruitt in pursuit. Stephen Richards still there, 17 seconds behind our race leader. Oh, goodness me! Just as we're running through the leaderboard, and that looks like a major engine failure for our race leader, Wayne Gardner, in the Donut King Coca-Cola Commodore. Look at the smoke belching from the exhaust. Wayne Gardner throws the arms. Oh, now he's dropped a ton of oil, and I think it's the Mitre 10 Ford. Goodness me. He's dropped a whole lot of oil on the road, and other cars are getting caught out. There's the Mitre 10 Falcon. You can hear those tyres squealing as he slid towards Gardner. Now Gardner's copped not only a blown engine, but a lot of body damage. That's Forrest Elbow. 3 cars involved there. Melrose, yeah, the privateer. See if Larkin can get back in the race. So Wayne Gardner looks like he's had an engine blow up of monumental proportions. He's dumped a whole lot of oil on the track. It's caught out 2 cars already. Yellow flags will be waving frantically, and the oil flags will be out too, warning the drivers. Unbelievable race. The heights and the depths of human emotion, you can see it there. Wayne Gardner leading this race handsomely. 90 laps in, they were looking very strong, and all of a sudden comes to a crushing end.
He's very, very disappointed, John Smiles.
The look of disappointment on Neil Crompton's face. Neil, has he told you what happened?
No, I haven't spoken to Wayne. He's only just got out of the car. I was just about to get dressed to prepare, just in case he came in early for whatever reason. But clearly the engine has let go, and that's the end of that.
Was there any indication at all? Was he saying anything to the crew at all about the gauges not having properly?
No, everything was fine. I would occasionally on the PI, you're able to go to start page, and I just have a look at the numbers occasionally, and they all look pretty good, temperature, pressures, and things. But when we put the race engine in, we both made comment of the fact that it maybe had a slightly different harmonic or vibration in it than the other engine, but no, there was no indication. It was doing good lap times, and that's how it goes.
Just the most heartbreaking thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, it's part of the deal, isn't it? You've got to get used to this sort of thing. It's part of what the business is all about. I guess we put up a good show while it lasted. There are plenty of other colleagues of ours who've had tough days, and we'll bounce back and try and do a better job next time.
What about the oil that's been spread up there, the other cars up there? What does Wayne feel? What does he do about that sort of situation?
Well, I guess he'd be all consumed with his own problems at the moment. There's clearly a heap of oil up there, which has made it pretty horrible. Oil on the top of the hill up here is pretty dangerous because you've got nowhere to go, unlike other tracks where you can get off onto the grass. But I think his mind will be totally wrapped up on the fact that we haven't made it when we're leading for so long. So that's how it goes.
Thanks and bad luck.
Thanks.
Well, really disappointing stuff there for the Coke team. Have a look at this. This is the Mitre 10 team of Mark Larkham, Andrew Medicki. They got caught up in that oil and clouded Wayne Gardner up in Forrest Elbow. Now the team working frantically. Look at that. They got the big mallet inside there just bashing out that panel, that bent panel.
Plenty of drama in pit lane. Big sledgehammer there trying to belt that sheet metal out, so they've got enough clearance to put a racing tyre back under there. It's a big wide thing. It's 12 inches wide, the tyres on these cars. They need a lot of room to operate. And they're just trying now to see if they can get that tyre under there without any clearance problems. Looks like they've done the job. Mechanics working feverishly there. Get the air gun on, do up that centre lock wheel nut. But there's a lot of damage to the Mitre 10 Ford, and they would be shattered. Mark Larkham getting caught up in that oil, dropped by the Coca-Cola Commodore. John Smales is on the spot.
And the major concern at the moment is that there seems to be a leak coming out of the boot. I can't tell if it's petrol. It's very, very minor, but the fuel fire extinguishers are right around it. If they let the car out without determining that, it could be a problem on this lap. because it could be fuel leaking from the overflow system in the boot. The car's had a huge whack right on the dry brake system. That to me would be the major concern, rather than trying to get the car moving.
Yeah, well, there's a few frayed tempers down there too, you can see. Ross Stone arguing with the steward there. So, heat of the moment stuff. It's a very dramatic moment in the race. When your team's behind, you can see the cars running beautifully. All of a sudden, it can come to a crashing halt. It's amazing.
Well, plenty of pressure on there. Wayne Gardner is taking, I wouldn't say a pleasant stroll back. This is a replay of the earlier incident. There you go. The motor has let go there. And the Coca-Cola Donut King Commodore is about to turn around as they head through, as Wayne was heading through Forest Elbow.
Well, it's just dumped a ton of oil, that rear tyre coming out of that exhaust. And, that's why he would have spun it, John Smales.
With the pace car out, the major concern there was to get Larkham out of the pit because they're on standby for Alan Jones to come screaming in. Meantime, Glenn Seaton's team set up, and so is the Jim and Stephen Richards team. So the pit stops are going to be on.
So frantic times ahead, plenty is going to happen. We're at lap 90 right at the moment, and there is a replay. Bang! Mark Larkham coming in, and that right rear panel coming in contact with the front of Wayne Gardner's Commodore. That was a very severe hit. There is a very disappointed man. He was in the top spot and heading for his first Bathurst win, we could say. Time to take a break here on your home of motorsport. We'll be back right after this.
There's the story of the Primus 1000 Classic right now. The race leader, Wayne Gardner, is somewhere on the mountain making his way back down as we see the Diet Coke Donut King Commodore entering the pits. Not in the way he had hoped, of course. He was due for a stop shortly. But that is the way it's been all day. The entire Holden racing team has gone, among many others. 27 cars left in the race of the 40-odd that started. Russell Engel inherits the lead now, but we're under a safety car, and we have a very, very important interview coming up. Here's Lee Diffie.
Yeah, Bill, well, less than half an hour ago, the man sitting next to me was sitting in that car in the lead position. Neil Crompton, very disappointing.
Yes, it is very disappointing, Lee, to sit here and look at the car coming back on a truck. But I mean, that's what happens sometimes in this game, and you just got to learn to live with it. But it was a good competitive outing. The car was very quick, and I think that while we were running, we were putting in a good show. And as I said to John before, plenty of people had tough luck stories today, and we just joined the queue.
Here's the driver change. Charlie O'Brien's done a tremendous double stint. Longhurst gets back in the car. I guess they're trying to get back out while the safety car situation's out. While we're under safety car situations, let's try and link up with Glenn Seaton. Glenn, it's Lee Diffie in the commentary box. Can you hear me, mate?
Yeah, sure can, Lee.
Hey, what a bizarre race, huh?
Oh, it's been disastrous for us, but that's the thing about this race. It's so hard to win, but yet it's easy to lose it too.
You guys are starting to claw your way back, though, after Skippy had a few problems earlier on.
Yeah, Skippy thought he picked up a puncher earlier, and it was actually the build-up on the tyres from... he must have gone offline to pass someone, and it's picked up all the stuff off the edge of the track, but then he had a bit of a problem over the top of the skyline. But no, the day's not over yet. I think, what are we up to, 89 laps, 90 laps?
92 at the moment, mate.
So there's still a long way to go.
Cito, it's Crompton. What happened with Skip at Skyline?
He actually missed the brake pedal.
Whoops.
Is that Croppo, is it?
Yeah.
Bad luck.
Yeah.
Bad luck, Croppo. He did a brilliant job.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and good luck, Cito. I hope you get the one you've been looking for.
Well, it won't be this year, I don't think, but we want to claw our back and try and finish in a place if we can. But
what's the car?
I'm enjoying it at the moment. It's actually, the car feels great because we're doing 13s all the time, and that's really the pace that I wanted to run at today. But we've had a few problems.
Glenn, I was very surprised when I was watching early on how quick the pace was in the first stint. Were you surprised by that?
I probably was really, Neil, because I wasn't expecting to run in those sort of paces, and I was really in a position that I could actually afford, I believe, to let them go, because the pace cars were going to change the situation of the race as the race goes on. So I really settled down in doing sort of high 13s and then low 14s, knowing that the pace cars are going to come out and completely change the race and then get into it at the end. But we're in a good position there for a while, but really, I'm in a better position than you are at the moment.
Yeah, I'd rather be looking at you from the monitor. Tell me, what about the traffic? Give me your thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, the traffic is a problem, but I suppose that's the part of this race. You've just got to avoid all those things, and But no, they're in a position to be here just as much as I am, and it's great to be able to race against everybody. And like the field that we've had this weekend is sensational. And also the crowd, like, it's just unbelievable the amount of people here supporting V8 racing.
Well, Glenn, we've just heard from the organisers, a new record crowd in excess of 50,000, so that'll put a smile on your face.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. It just shows you the support for V8 racing. I'm just coming through Forest Elbow now, where gives us a hell of a lot of oil. I was very lucky because I was actually the next one along after Melrose, or as far as I can see, and my guys actually radioed back to me back when I was just coming out of the dipper and said Wayne's actually done an engine, there's oil everywhere, and that gave me the opportunity to slow right down, so that was great, where Mark Larkham didn't really pick that up.
Glenn, beyond the dramas you had with those tyres early on, how's the rest of the car performing? Any mechanical problems?
No problems at all. That's the frustrating thing. Like the car, I'm just pushing it as hard as I can now and wringing its neck to try and make up places, and also really it's a great learning curve as well to see how reliable the car is. But it felt good in 95 when we got all the way to 9 laps from the end too. The little things happened right at the end.
Well, you hang in there, mate, because a lot of these lead cars have been falling out. You never know where you can end up.
Hey, I'm not a person to give up, I'll tell you.
We know that.
Hey, the Fords are going well today, Glenn. You got yourself and Larko's up there, Pruitt and Jones, all going pretty well. Yeah, really. The Commodores are dead set at the moment, got a great stranglehold, but it's probably been more the mishaps that the others have had that the positions are at the moment. But we're just going to try and do our best from here and see if we can unlap ourselves and hopefully finish in a place. Hey Glenn, thanks very much for your time. We really appreciate it, and the best of luck for the last 60-odd laps.
No problem, Lee. Thank you.
John Smales.
I'm with Wayne Gardner, and Wayne Gardner's come back with a souvenir. What is it?
Oh, it's part of my engine that spat Conrod at the bottom of the engine down, going into Forest Elbow. So my memento from not winning the race.
That's part of a big end bearing we're looking at, folks.
Yeah.
Part of the big end.
Yeah, it's part of the motor, and it's a great shame. You know, we were making headway. Gap and Larry, who had the pace, and tyres were working good. Everything was on schedule. It was just going perfect for us, and of course, then the engine lets go on me. So pretty disappointed. Yeah, I thought I was going to win this one.
Wayne, presumably you didn't reach inside the engine and pick that out. It's all over the road, isn't it?
Yeah, when I spun on my own oil down there, and I tried to get the car off the track, and it was missing like mad with only a couple of cylinders going. And when I got out and walked down the track a bit, I seen a pool of oil and this sitting there, so it had obviously fired out through the bottom of the engine. So unfortunately the engine didn't hold together for me.
It's not exactly the trophy you wanted for the day, was it?
No. I don't know how I'm going to do to win this race. You know, I've tried so hard, and I give it everything, absolutely everything. The commitment the last 3 months to heading up to this race, it's just been phenomenal from my team and everyone who's a partnership with the team, and it's just disappointing to let them down like that, because I was really hoping to give them a really nice reward at the end of the day, you know, for everyone's hard work and dedication. But, you know, something minor sort of let me down.
Wayne, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Wayne Gardner putting on a brave face, and you can tell how devastated he'd be by that situation.
Well, we've had plenty of drama, plenty of action here at the Primus 1000 Classic, and I'm sure there's going to be more on the other side of this break.
Update brought to you by Armour All.
Welcome back. Well, the last hour of the Primus 1000 is almost a case of the last man standing. This is the Paul Romano Commodore, barely sticking to the ground as it almost tipped over. Now, Wayne Gardner managed to take the lead in the Coke Donut King Commodore. A terrific performance by Wayne Gardner and Neil Crompton, taking the lead on lap 77. Now, Charlie O'Brien was in second position, but he lost it as Larry Perkins went steaming on by in the Castrol car. Larry Perkins moved into second as the action really started to hot up on the mountain. And on top of the mountain, this is John Faulkner in the better electrical car. He appeared to have engine problems right up at the top of the hill, but miraculously he managed to make it back on the track. Faulkner a little bit disappointed there, but in that case the better electrical car did manage to kick on back into the race. Alan Jones in the Komatsu Falcon, his car looked to be smoking a little, but it didn't stop him having a duel with Stephen Richards. Stephen Richards, of course, in the Cummins Valvoline car. Jones really putting on some heavy work. But really, this has been the story of the last hour. The Donut King Commodore, Wayne Gardner, his engine lost it up the top of the mountain, and that's the result. Gardner managed to spin. He did hit the wall, and then Larkham came along and hit him. There was a terrific amount of oil on the track, really caused chaos up on the top of the mountain, and this was the result for Mark Larkham. A frantic pit stop, bashing out of the side of the car. Let's go back to the mountain as the race continues.
Yes, and we're with car 3. That's Trevor Ashby's car. The Lansvale Smash Repairs VS Commodore hit the wall. Trevor at the wheel in 7th place as the remarkable events continue in the Primus 1000 Classic. You can see there's spoiler damage. Probably another pit stop there for Trevor Ashby. And how the mighty have fallen today. Of the top 10 in the shootout yesterday, 5 are out. 3 have had severe mechanical or other incidental problems. John Faulkner and Wynne Percy still in the race, but have had enormous setbacks. They're way down the field. Faulkner back in 16th behind the wheel right now. Steve Johnson and Craig Baird have had their problems. They've wrestled the car back up through the field. Craig is behind the wheel in 8th place right now. And Glenn Seaton and David Parsons, well, you've heard that story. They've had nothing but trouble. A few more pit stops than they wanted. But the good news from that point of view is the Ford Credit Falcon is now on the same lap as the race leader. And you're looking at him right now, Russell Engel. Let's go back to our team upstairs.
Thing is, Glenn Seaton's got quite a bit of work to do because Russell isn't that far behind him.
I was going to say, he's only just on the lead lap, isn't he? He's got the number 11 Castrol Commodore bearing down on him. And Seaton's got a lot of work to do. Just at a 2:18.0. See those times come down as they get up to full speed. But that'll be very much in Engel's sights, the Ford Credit Falcon, as he comes over Skyline, down through the S's toward the Dipper. And Glenn Seaton will be very much aware of the fact that he's got to stay ahead of Engel. He wants to stay on this lead lap. There's the Lansvale Smash Repairs car in the pits, and I guess, Neil, when you look at where he lost it down at the elbow there might have still been a trace of oil from your car.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Ironic thing is this is actually one of our cars. This was one of our older cars that Wayne and I drove a season back, so we've managed to grind them all to a halt today, which is a great shame. But Trevor and Steve, as always, put on a very strong showing here in the ICI Autocolour Lansvale Smash Repairs car, and they were on target for quite a good result, and just a very small error has done quite a lot of damage here to the brake ducts and the whole front nose and wing assembly, so that's going to take quite a little bit of time to sort that out and delay them probably the best part of 3 or 4 laps.
How do you see this one panning out, mate? Larry and Russell looking very strong.
Yeah, all I can see at the moment is car number 11 right in the front of my mind. It's Russell and Larry, 2 very hot operators around here. Typically Larry's car is extremely reliable. He understands what's required to succeed here and inevitably does very, very well. He's won the race many times, 5 times, thank you, Mark. And Russell obviously partnered him to one of those wins, and he's a pro, and I'm sure these guys are going to be very hard to toss from here.
So there is the Ford Credit Falcon just ahead. It's 2 cars ahead of Russell Engel, flashing his headlights at the CBS Mining Falcon. That's the Waldock car. And talking to some of the other drivers we've had up here earlier today, Neil, Scotty Pruitt was here, Dick was here. They said picking the way through some of these slower cars has been a bit of a nightmare.
Yes, but you've got to be so careful that you don't say anything inflammatory, because they have a right to be there. But sometimes I guess it's the inconsistency that's a bit frustrating. You've got your lights on or you're flashing and you're saying to the guys, hey, look in the mirror, I am coming, can you just make a small allowance and let us get on with it? But sometimes they seem to just get under your feet. But I guess everyone's got their story to tell. And of course the other thing is that as this race unfolds, Lee, you get in a situation where as the rubber builds up offline, and you'll see any amount of these rubber marbles either side of the race line around here, many times another competitor just can't afford to go offline because he'll have an accident. So it's a very awkward situation for a lot of the drivers, and you've just got to do your best, and you've got to be controlled but aggressive. You've got to drive quickly, you've got to punch out a lap time, but sometimes you just have to be patient, and that's a very unusual balance.
Well, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to see it, Neil, but that's exactly what happened to Craig Lowndes up around Castrol Curve. He just sort of drifted offline a little bit, got caught out in the marbles and just slammed the wall so hard, and that was the end of their race. All inside the first hour and a half, it was over. That was very sad to see for both Craig Lowndes and Greg Murphy. We ride now with Russell Engel. Pictures courtesy of Dunlop, down Conrod Straight, heading towards Caltex Chase.
Well, Seaton's responded too. Russell Engel's just on a 2:16.33. The only car running in the 2:16s in that lead bunch is Seaton. A 2:16.270. Desperately wants to stay in front of Engel.
when you first pick up the pace after a pace car incident like this, Mark, your tyre temperatures are down and your pressures are down, so the car will actually feel quite ordinary for Russell for a little while, and he'll gradually be starting to pick up his pace. And of course he's threading traffic as well, and that's why we're seeing these slightly polluted lap times. His last time through there was a 15.2, so he's picking up his rhythm gently once again. But they now probably have changed, they being Larry and Russell, changed their mindset slightly. I would suggest that they won't push the car maybe quite as hard as they have been. What they need to do now is keep a good pace, which I would imagine would be comfortable low 14s, maybe the occasional high 13 if they had to, and you know, just keep enough pressure on to keep everybody else chasing.
There's top privateer, Shembry and Luff, the combination there. Neil Shembry behind the wheel. There's been a spin down at Murray's corner there. It's okay, that car gets going again, no problems. It looked like Ian Palmer, the combination of Palmer and English, but there is your leading privateer, and he's doing a terrific job. He's in 10th position. That's not a bad effort, Neil.
No, it's a terrific effort. There's quite a number of guys that are going to benefit from the fact that many of the level 1 combinations have just not made the grade. We just haven't been able to keep our cars running out there. And I think that, you know, when we spoke with Glenn earlier on, I talked about the pace. That pace in the first 60 or 90 minutes was really extraordinary. It was a car-breaking pace. It was the sort of stuff that where drivers make mistakes, where cars get broken. And it's interesting because I've never seen a pace like that. We had a wet start last year, so it's really 2 years. This is a replay of what happened in the final turn. Whoops.
Around car 29, the Palmer English Commodore, but fortunately managed to stay out of, gee, I was going to say stay out of harm's way. I thought he was going to get a hit in the rear. Barry Sheen.
Yeah, I'm with Ian Luff. Your car's in the top 10 and Neil Shembry's driving. Any problems?
No, we're pretty happy. We came from 28th and the car's going really well. Driver's had a bit of a fine tune. I've got my chiropractor here and absolutely fantastic. We're wrapped.
Well, I look at your pit crew. It's the one you can concentrate.
No, we've got a different pit crew this year. We've got Hooters restaurant. They've come aboard with us. We've got the Hooter girls here, and it's absolutely creating a bit of havoc in the pit area, but it's a lot of fun.
Right, yeah, I can't imagine why they call it Hooters.
No, well, it's sort of a lot to do with high compression, but we'll see how we go at the end of the day.
To you guys.
Yes, indeed. The gearbox Commodore, Neil Shembry at the wheel, Ian Luff teammate. They're leading the level 2 privateer category, and they're actually running in the top 10. They're in 10th position, and they're all level 1 professional cars ahead of them.
Well, here is our Levi's privateer scoreboard, and I'd like you to look at 3rd position there. It's the all-girl team of Melinda Price and Karen Brewer. They're doing an outstanding job, and how's this for a little bit of an ironic stat? The Cougars, in 1970, Sandra Bennett and Christine Cole, they finished 13th, and that's exactly where the girls are sitting at the moment. Let's hope that they can hang on to it.
So the positions there on the Levi's Privateers scoreboard: Waldocker Smith, Russell Shaw, Taylor and Atta. That's the Privateers battle, and here's our Privateers battle leader. 10th position, Neil Shembry, 41 years of age, from Sydney. Finished 4th in the NASCAR V8 series this year, but meanwhile, here is the Conrad Jupiter's Komatsu Ford into the pit. Bonnet is up to check fluid levels. Let's go to John Smale.
And the mystery of the smoke haze is now solved. It's the power steering fluid that has been slowly leaking in the Komatsu Falcon. And Scott Pruitt has said, I need more. It's going in right now. They say that there is no real drama with the car as long as they keep replenishing their right. They're just seeing if they can fix the oil leak as well in there with the spanners. Can't be done. Down comes the bonnet. 32 seconds gone so far. Car's down and away in 36. No, and Scott Pruitt stalls it. Stalls. It's fired again and away in just over 40.
So power steering, a bit of a leak there, pumping out a bit of smoke out of the back. Hopefully they won't get too bad before the race is completed. Meanwhile, let's have a look at a replay of an earlier incident. That was that spin we saw before. The Palmer car getting out of shape. Now watch when he gets back on, he puts it into gear, drives forward, and there's another car coming into picture that comes very, very close to the back of that car. Just managed to squeeze up the inside, fortunately without any damage. Car 14 is the Stenican Commodore. So here's our race leader, Russell Engel.
The last time through, Russell did a 14.3. Let's see what he does this time. It's a low 15. Again, a little bit traffic polluted. So when he's got a clear track, you're going to see Russell pull some low 14s, which is going to be very good pace race with this car.
What's the tragedy of your situation too with the Coke Donut King Commodore? I think it was lap 80 something. Gardner did a
2:12.9.
A 12.9, and the car was phenomenally good in that track condition.
No, it was very good. When the tyres were new and we had a full fuel load, I got a couple of clear laps early and punched some mid-13s. Early in the stint, there was a lot of traffic, but I could sense that there was very good speed in the car, and Wayne obviously got a clear run at the beginning of his stint there, and I saw the 12.9 come up and thought this is encouraging. But the car was very, very good, but you've got to make it to 161 laps.
Exactly. What do they say? To finish first you have to finish.
Yep.
And no matter how much speed you're showing in the race, you've got to get it across that line after 161 times. Russell Engel leading by almost 16 seconds over Andrew Madecki. And we just saw that Komatsu Ford come into the pits before for that top up of power steering. So next time around, I'm saying that will have dropped him down the order. This should move Stephen Richards and Jim Richards up into second position. So the Richards clan continue their relentless surge toward the front. They're a genuine podium chance here at the moment. Watch their progress with interest.
The Holden race score. This is your full field update. Let's have a look at it. The Perkins Engel combination leads the way from Larkin, Madecki, Richards and Richards. Longhurst, O'Brien in fourth. Jones and Pruitt in fifth.
6 through 10, Seaton and Parsons still grinding along. Steve Johnson in 7th, Finnegan and Shield in 8th, Shembry and Luff in 9th position, and Steniken and Gazzard in 10th.
11th position, we see the Ashby-Reed combination after that accident. Crick and Fitzgerald, Price and Brewer, the girls doing a terrific job. Faulkner and Percy 14th, and Hossack and Ellery back where they started in 15th.
Top 20, 16th is Rose and Burton in the Fairfax Commodore, Smurden and Cox in the Vittoria Copper entry, 18th Palmer and English, 19th O'Brien, Callaghan and Barnacle in the Everlast Batteries car. There's some 7 laps down on the race leader, and 20th position Waldock and Smith in the Falcon.
Walden, Williams, Russell and Shaw, Taylor, Attard and Bell, Heffernan and Osborne and Cotter and Dillman 25th.
You see on the right of the screen there how many laps they're down. McLeod and Payton 19 laps behind the leader. Hart and Lawrence 32 laps down. Williams and Gover, Pearson and McCarthy. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Welcome back to the Primus 1000 Classic at Bathurst. We're watching the Mitre 10 car of Mark Larkham, and we have passed the 100 lap mark. Although most of the cars have passed it, there are quite a few in the pits and on their way back for panel beating repairs. They haven't managed to make it around the mountain. Of course, it is a 161 lap race, 1,000 kilometres and plenty of drama already. What we'd like to do right now is take you through all the 4 banners in our Holden banner competition. These are the 4 finalists selected by our 10 commentary team. What you've got to do is pick your best one and dial it in on these numbers. For banner number 1, 1902 550 636. 1902 550 636. This is all for Peter Brock. He said farewell to the mountain today. Unfortunately, it wasn't how we'd like to say goodbye to the king of the mountain, the king of Bathurst. And just look at some of the detail put into these banners. They really have been remarkable. This is banner number 2, 1902 550 637. 1902 550 637. That's the number to dial. If you think banner 2 will win our Holden banner competition, there is a great prize for you at home. The winner, by the way, up on the mountain, who put these banners together, put the winning one together anyway, will pocket $5,000 cash. Take a look at that one. A real Holden versus Ford clash. Banner number 3 for you. The number there, 1902 550 638. 1902 550 638. That is banner number 3. The king of the mountain, Peter Brock, in his farewell race from motorsport, 30 years, and he is going to miss out, unfortunately, on 10 Bathurst titles. Goodbye, Brocky, and the hand is waving. The big Holden banner on the hand there for banner number 4. This really is a remarkable banner. Just take a look at the detail, quite incredible. 1902 550 639. 1902 550 639 is the number for banner number 4. Really is a graphic illustration, by the way, of just how Peter Brock is revered right around the country and in particular on the mountain. This is what you can win at home, $40,000 worth of the brand new Holden Commodore. It's the SS V8 variety. Really is a terrific motor car. That's what you can win, and you've got around 45 minutes to get your final calls in. A tremendous race. Let's see who'll be the last man standing.
from one Commodore to another. This could be him, Matthew White. Russell Engel, race leader by 18.7 seconds right now. Just lapped it at 2:14. Quickest of the leading 10 by quite some time. He's about half a second, actually now 0.3 of a second better than Tony Longhurst's Falcon back in 4th place. The battle for second is quite frantic as we go inside the Engel car right now. We've got Madecki behind him, and he's holding out Jimmy Richards in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore, but only just. Then we have Tony Longhurst, bearing in mind, starting from 39th on the grid. He and Charlie O'Brien have pulled this car up into the top 4 in a big way and looking mechanically sound as well. Scotty Pruitt, now behind the wheel of the Komatsu Falcon, makes up the top 5, and that's great news for Ross and Jim Stone, because while the Holden Racing team have lost all 3 cars, their 2 Falcons are still very much in the hunt. Of course, their other car is the Madecki Mark Larkham Falcon, so it's been a great day so far for them, but still a long way to go. About 60 laps. Here's Mark and Lee.
Yeah, it's a great race. It's been a terrific race today. Plenty of action. Neil, thank you very much for your time. We do appreciate it. Congratulations once again on your efforts in the States this year, and let's hope we see you back here next year for another shot at it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I look forward to coming back and doing a better job next time, and a pleasure to drop by.
And we'd prefer that you didn't come up into the commentary next time. We'd rather see you out in the track all day.
I'll try and bring back a cup of champagne for you next time.
One of these days you'll win it, Crompton. Hang in there.
I will, don't worry. They're not going to get rid of me before I steal this cup, believe me.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
Neil Crompton there joining us. Very much sad day for the Coca-Cola Donut King racing team. They were doing so well leading this race. Very handsomely until an engine failure put them out. You heard Neil Crompton say he'll be back because he really wants to win the big one. That's Mount Panorama Bathurst. You're in the Primus 1000. Watching Andrew Madecki across the top of the hill. It's an 18.7 second gap between himself and race leader Russell Engel. With the Valvoline Commodore, Stephen and Jim Richards. Jim Richards at the wheel at the moment, sitting back there in 3rd position. Just 1 second behind the Mitre 10 Ford. And that's quite relevant because we welcome to commentary Gary Rogers, who owns the Valvoline Cummins car. Gary, they are doing an absolutely sensational job out there, the 2 Richards boys.
Well, they are, Mark. We're very pleased so far, but mind you, I've been here for a lot of years and there's a long way to go yet.
Down through Forest Elbow, we're riding at the moment with Tony Longhurst. Let's watch this onboard telemetry creeping up towards 200 kilometres an hour. We saw Longhurst hit 291 before. Let's see what he does this time around. His previous lap was at 214, so they're still lapping pretty quickly.
Yeah, you saw that road speed go up as high as 290 kilometres an hour. Some older viewers at home who aren't quite au fait with the metric system, that's about 185 miles an hour on the old scale, so it's quite phenomenal speed from a touring car.
Gary, I remember talking to you a couple of days ago and saying, oh, well, never mind, Steve and Jimmy didn't make it into the top 10 shootout. And I remember speaking with your team manager, Michael, and he said, yeah, he really would have liked to have been in there, but it doesn't really matter now, does it?
No, it doesn't, Lee. I mean, obviously, if you get into the 10, it's great for your sponsors. But by the same token, it does put a lot of workload on your team to get the race preparation ready in time for the Saturday morning runoff. And whilst it would have been nice to be there, it's I think the people will remember who wins the race rather than who qualified on pole.
You must be very proud. You've got a unique situation here, father and son combination, and it's not just any father and son combination. 5 times champion with Jim Richards and one of the most admired and respected drivers in this country.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's really fantastic to work with the two and to see a father and son that are so close together. The way they confer notes, discuss lap times and where they brake and where they turn into the corners. And obviously, I mean, Jim Richards, in my view, is still in the country's top 3 drivers. He can drive every category of car. You can be sure when you put him in the car, he'll give it its very best shot. And I mean, age is certainly not a barrier to Jim, and yet Stephen's the exact opposite. He's a much younger person, but certainly gets the job done and gets it done very, very well.
The thing that impresses me too about the Richards, both Jimmy and Steve, many times you walk around the pits of touring car rounds and you'll see Steve under the car or with his hands dirty working on something or other. They've got a real mechanical affinity too, don't they?
They have, Mark, and I mean, we're lucky because Stephen works in the workshop with us in our race shop, and he's an aircraft mechanic by trade, Stephen, and he's a very clever young man with his hands. And he gets involved with the boys. He's not frightened to do any of the jobs, whether it's sweep the floor, get the lunches, put the car together, and you know, it's just been a great help to build the team that works together like that.
Well, he's a great champion. He's been with you for a number of years, Gary. He won the Australian Formula 4 Championship third in this class, the Sandown 500 a couple of years ago. You guys were the top privateer in 1996. So it's been a very impressive run from Gary Rogers Motorsport, and I guess you see big things for the future.
Well, we're hoping, Mark. I mean, we've had a great relationship with Valvoline and Cummins. They've been very kind to us, and I think in turn we've delivered the goods for them. It's been a big punt, perhaps, to take on a fairly new team such as ours, but Stephen won the Formula 4 Championship, and he's certainly proven that he is very good both at driving and representing his sponsors, and I believe that we will be able to go on well into the future.
Just while you're talking, Gary, we've got the Komatsu Jupiter's car back in the pits. They've got a problem with power steering. John Smales?
Yeah, the power steering is being replenished again. This time the mechanics have gone under it. Scotty Pruitt's reporting that things are not getting any better. And I'd say to you that the start of the end is looking like it's coming. Yeah, 36 seconds already gone, Mark.
Yeah, never good when you see cars coming in and out of the pits like that, John.
Well, you can see the swarf going underneath the car now, mopping up. So it's telling you that there's a drama that possibly is going to take a bit of fixing.
Well, apparently there was
back up.
Yeah, apparently there was an O-ring seal failure on the power steering pump itself. The boys were hopeful if they just kept replenishing it with power steering fluid to be able to make the race, but it looks like that's getting much worse.
Yeah, there's no indication at the moment that they've got a fix for it. All they look like they're doing is just simply mopping up.
Well, when Pruitt came into the pits, he was sitting in fifth position. That's about to change quite soon. Let's hope they can get Scott back out there as quickly as possible. Gary, you've been happy with your team's performance in pit stops today?
Yes, the boys have done a fantastic job. We did our pad change at the last stop, and whilst it wasn't quite as good as the one we did at Sandown, we were pretty happy with it. And the car now will only have one more stop, at which time Stephen will get back into the car. And I believe, you know, all things being well, if we can get to the finish, then who knows? It'll be a great thrill for the whole team if we could get there.
So the order now, Russell Engel leading this race in the Castrol Commodore. They've spread that out, 23.9. It was 24 seconds the lead over Andrew Badecki in the Mitre 10 Ford. Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Ford is really close to the Mitre 10 car now. Could be a challenge on for second place pretty soon. Valvoline Cummins Commodore back in fourth position, some 3 seconds behind Longhurst. So it's a real tight battle.
Craig Baird in the number 18 Shell Helix Falcon. He's doing a great job. Previous New Zealand touring car champ. And our viewers through TV3 in New Zealand will certainly know all about this young guy. Dick Johnson was saying earlier he's so happy with the way Craig's fitted into this team. And both he and young 23-year-old Stephen Johnson, Dick's son, have done very well today. They've had some mishaps earlier on. Now they're starting to get it together. They're clawing their way back and they're in 7th position at the moment.
25 seconds the gap now between Russell Engel and Tony Longhurst. Tony Longhurst has just taken Badecki. So we've got a Castrol 1-2 at the front of the field. Russell Engel, Tony Longhurst in pursuit. 25 seconds behind in the Castrol Ford. There's a real battle on at the front.
Gary, you share something in common with Alan Jones today, and what I mean by that was back in '88 you shared the car with John Andretti here. How did you find driving with an open wheel driver, with an IndyCar driver here on the mountain?
Oh, well, Lee, when I brought John Andretti out, to be quite honest, I don't think he was capable of doing the job. I think the fact that he'd never driven a right-hand drive car as such, and I mean Bathurst is a fairly different circuit, but I do believe that the European drivers are more suited to our style of racing, I think, rather than the American drivers.
Fairly tough to make that transition, sir, huh?
Well, I think it is in a one-off situation. I think if you're here and you do a series or do a few races and get used to the right-hand drive car with the gears where they are and those sorts of things on the normal circuits, and then you come to Bathurst, perhaps it's a different story. But to arrive here stone cold, get in a car that you've never seen before, I think it's a pretty big ask of someone, and I perhaps made a mistake in doing that, but at the time I thought it was a pretty good idea.
We're on lap 107 of 161 of the Primus 1000 Classic. You can see the scrutineers are down there in the pits. They're not happy with this car. There's Jim Stone, chief engineer of the Alan Jones racing car. He's conferring with the stewards.
Jeff Beachy there, one of the CAM's officials, keeping a very close eye on things.
The stewards aren't happy. They think that car's losing too much fluid. They won't get it out on the track. There seems to be some sort of agreement. And the car gets back into the race. But that's lost a lot of time. That's been in there for several minutes.
Neil Shembry, Ian Luff, this is the battle for the top privateers. These guys are going extremely well. Shembry is sitting in 9th position. That's fantastic. Top privateer in the top 10. And right behind him is the 2nd place privateer in Malcolm Steniken.
Yeah, it's a great battle. Great initiative too. Privateers on a control tyre this year. They've got a real battle they can fight amongst themselves. $25,000 prize money for the winner here this afternoon. You saw Peter Dorman take pole position for Privateers yesterday, walk off with a $5,000 cheque. So there really are a lot of incentives now for Privateers to compete at Bathurst, and this is a really great battle. Look at this, very, very close. After 107 laps, it's going to go right down to the wire, the battle between Steniker and Chambry.
Here's your Holden race score. It's Perkins and Engel who still lead the way by a massive 26 seconds. Longhurst, O'Brien, Larkin, Mediki, Richards, Seaton and Parsons sit there in the top 5. The next 5, Jones and Pruitt, Johnson and Baird, Finnegan, Shield, Chambry, Luff, Steniker and Gazzard. Stay with us.
Well, here's a view that the 52,000 people here at Mount Panorama can't quite get hold of, and that is, of course, from the Whitman's lightship. Marvellous scenes here, a record crowd today, and there's a closer look at where those pictures are coming from, the cockpit of the Whitman's lightship. Quite safe and quite amazing. The only way to see the Primus 1000 Classic, you might say, but there are other views that are just as good, and one is within the garage of the Longhurst O'Brien Castrol Falcon. Right now, it's looking pretty good. Tony Longhurst is running second, and we remind you again that this is from 39th on the grid. Now, Tony has won this race before in '88, but teammate Charlie O'Brien is still trying to nail his first big Bathurst win. Of course, he's won a 12-hour, but Charlie, I don't want to say too much because we've had so many dropouts.
Well, please don't do a Murray Walker on me and put the marker on it. I tell you, we're pretty happy. The car is running unbelievably. At the beginning of the day, when I drove it in the warm-up session, it felt fantastic. I've never driven a car as good as that, and I just hope, my fingers are crossed, that we can just keep on going and look after it till the end. It's going to be great.
I know you guys were confident in the car, but 39th on the grid, did you have any inkling that there'd be so many cars fall away in front of you and make the job just a little bit easier?
Well, no, the thing that I didn't think was that Tony was going to get his adrenaline sort of going and get up into 10th place by about lap 11. That wasn't part of the plan. Because I said to him before, Tony, take it easy. Be prepared to stop at the first corner. You're back there. But Tony's just gone out there. He has driven very, very well that first stint. I think I did about 60 laps, and I feel a little tired at the moment. I don't think I could get back in the next 10 minutes or so, but maybe an hour I could. But I think Tony can make it through the finish. We've done the right amount of laps.
Well, you did a very long stint, of course, while nearly all the other teams did have driver changes. We had a quick chat to Tony during that. He was kind of joking and laughing it off. I'm sure you weren't smiling that much. What was the plan behind that?
Well, no, we'd always had planned. Tony's been sort of trying to psych me into doing a double stint right from like a month ago. He said, Charlie, you've got to do a double stint. Get out there and run. Go to the Sanctuary Cove gym. Train more. So we knew we were going to do a double stint because it really does save the hassle. If there is a driver problem changing over, it costs you 5 seconds on either stop. But we've eliminated two driver changes, so effectively we could save ourselves 10 seconds. I remember in 1994 we finished 4th and we're only 11.5 seconds behind the leader. So that's how important it is to catch these little things. You've got a chance, grab it while you can.
What's your role now? Kind of like an expectant father, I'd imagine.
Well, I did say I was going to jump upstairs and help Mark and Lee with the commentary, so I might go up and see what they're doing, and I'm sure they've got a few things to say to him.
I think that'd be a great idea. Thanks very much for your time, Charlie, and best of luck. I will say no more than that.
Thank you, Bill.
Charlie O'Brien there, and boy, are they going well in the Castrol Falcon on your screen right now. Here's Mark Oster and Lee Diffie.
Well, I'm sure Charlie's wife Annie and his 2 young boys, Christopher and Clay, are watching at home at Sanctuary Cove on the Gold Coast and just crossing their fingers. Likewise, Tony Longhurst's kids are back at home. Tony's wife Karen is here at the track. Very anxious moments as they come up on the back of the Komatsu Pertec Falcon. Scott Pruitt behind the wheel, but there's no challenge there. They're well behind after that long delay in the pits with some pretty bad steering problems. Longhurst is slowing down. Oh, no. Well, we were just getting too excited too early, I guess. There is a problem with the Longhurst Falcon. It is not going anywhere, and Tony is reversing it off the circuit.
Well, it's just looking more and more like a Larry Perkins Russell Engel race, this one. They grind on as their various opponents fail. It's exactly the spot where Glenn Seaton parked his car when he was within 9 laps of winning the 1995 event. And now Tony Longhurst feels the shattering disappointment of that same feeling. He's a long way from the finish. 110 laps completed.
Gary Rogers, this has just been an unbelievable day.
Yes, Lee, it has. I mean, as I said before, you get to the halfway mark and you think, gee whiz, we're looking okay here, but the halfway mark is still a long, long way from home around Bathurst. Yeah. The crowd here today certainly had their money's worth with the action, I think, and going on the lap score, we're what, at lap 110, so there's 51 to go. And 51 around here is still 300 odd kilometres, and when you work it out in that analysis, that's like driving from here to Sydney, or a little bit further, I think. So we'll just have to keep hoping and praying. Notice Russell Ingall's last lap too is a 2:17, which is considerably slower than what he's been doing. So perhaps he's back there again, but
yeah,
perhaps a bit of slower traffic.
Now Tony can't get his door open, that's why he's coming out feet first. But what a shattering end from that charge. 39th they started, 39th grid position, fought their way up to be right in the battle for the lead. Look at the cars strewn around the circuit. It shows how tough this circuit is, Gary Rogers. It's a real car eater, isn't it?
It is, Mark. It's very hard. I mean, parts of it are reasonably easy.
Let's go to John Smales.
And I'm with Charlie O'Brien. And Charlie, what's the answer?
I really don't know. A broken throttle cable. I think Brock broke one down at Sandown. It's not a common thing to break. Just wish it hadn't happened to ours.
It is just horrible to think that something as small as that could cost you an opportunity for the race.
Yes, as I said, the car is just fantastic. It's a hell of a shame. I know Tony pinned a lot on this weekend to be up the front and try to win this race so he can get his act together for next year, for sponsorship and deals, and it just wasn't the beat. Unfortunately, I've got to wait again.
He's been told to walk back, not to even try and fix it?
Well, you can't, as we know, you can't back down the mountain. So the car's in a safe spot, so the safety car's not going to come out to retrieve the car to bring it back. And really, at the end of the day, after being there with a chance to win the race, it really doesn't matter sort of finishing 10th or 15th, does it?
No consolation through. Nice try, Charlie.
Thank you very much, Charlie.
It was a very good try, as we've been saying, from 39th up to 2nd at the moment. They in fact were leading for a short portion of this race. It was nothing short of a fantastic effort by the O'Brien camp, the Castrol Ford, and that's a real shame for them. But speaking of Castrol, here's the opposite brand, the Castrol Holden Commodore. Perkins Engineering, the Engel-Perkins combination, and they are looking so strong at the moment.
Just that relentless surge toward the front you've seen from Perkins before. He's won this race 3 times with Peter Brock back in the Holden dealer team days, twice with his own team. The late Greg Hansford, 1993, did it again with Russell Ingall, last to first in 1995. And as his opponents fall by the wayside, Perkins and Engel looking particularly strong for win number 6 in 97.
Well, same car, but opposing oil companies. The Valvoline Cummins car sitting in 3rd. Gary Rogers, you wouldn't be half a nervous team owner at the moment, would you?
No, well, Lee, I am a little bit. I've been here 20-odd years or more, and I think you've really just can't count your chickens until they're hatched. And the one person, in my opinion, who's probably the hardest to beat is Larry. He's obviously a mechanical genius, and they don't do too many things wrong, and I think car preparation is vital here. You do the best you can, you replace everything, you think you've got everything right, but then small things can let you down. And wishing no harm on Larry, I hope something does, so as we can get to the front.
Out of the GIO cutting, Russell Ingall has done a terrific job. He's just powering on. Here's a replay of an earlier incident, and this track has really taken its toll on some of these cars today. Here it is. Car number 20, that's the Palmer English combination. They've had their fair share of battle and a blowing left rear.
You can see that car was in all sorts of trouble coming down the straight. Now he's had that puncture. See if he can bring it down without hitting the wall.
The way it was bouncing around there, it looks like it could do with a different set of shockers or something. The way it was lurching and lunging.
Well, it looks like he got through okay. Russell Ingall flashes the headlights. Tell that car in front, let me through. Oh, just a very narrow concrete canyon around the top of that mountain. Really no room for error. We've seen that all day, Gary Rogers. A couple of cars, particularly Craig Lowndes, stepped a fraction out of line and paid the penalty.
Yes, well, I think, Mark, here the speeds, of course, are so high, and the fact that you've got nowhere to go, really, if you make a mistake.
There's your top 5 at the moment. Let's take a look. 6 back through 10 because they haven't changed. Johnson, Baird, Finnegan, Shield, Shembry, Luff. As Tony Longhurst makes his way back to the pits, we'll be back right after this break.
Welcome back to the Primus 1000 Classic. Early today, some clever people had reshaped it to look like Mount Brockorama. Then it became Mount Panorama again. Now it's Mount Pandemonium because Russell Engel has a 35-second lead after so many dropouts in the 1997 Great Race. There he is in action, and with me right now is the team leader, and only about 10 laps away from another change, hopping back in the seat to take over from Russell, Larry Perkins. I don't want to say too much because a minute ago I had Charlie O'Brien down here, and just as I was speaking to him, we lost Tony Longhurst.
Oh, look, that's just the way it goes. It doesn't take long for these cars to stop, does it, if something goes wrong? And so far, fortunately, ours are still going. But look, you know, you never know. It's still, what, 50-odd laps to go. It could easily stop right here.
Well, you spoke on RPM earlier this year, and you've also spoken to us a few other times about preparation. How much of this great race is achieved in the garage? And you've certainly done a lot towards that so far.
Oh, look, it's all achieved in the garage, and then you just got to drive it a bit sensibly, and that's the hardest part of the garage bit, because there's about 10,000 parts in the car, and they all got to work properly. And as I say, so far, it hasn't working, but you know, I mean, it's too early to make too many predictions.
Well, we're on our way to number 6. I won't say any more than that, but you've got such a great combination already with Russell. You've done a couple with him.
Oh, look, that's right. And I mean, right up to this point in time, it's just gone superbly. And yeah, we've just still got to get these 50-odd laps out under our belt. And if all that happens, well, it could be good. But you never know. But you're right. It's the preparation is the real key. And I'm just fortunate that you know, my blokes who work for me and do all the work, just do an excellent job.
When you get back in, how are you going to play this thing? I mean, obviously, you want to keep those lap times down, but reliability is also a factor. What are you going to do?
Well, from the day we got here on Wednesday, we've been driving flat out, and both Russell and I have been driving flat out. My first stint was much faster than I thought we'd ever run, and but yeah, look, there's machinery supposed to handle it, so we just thrash it as much as we can, and if it conks out, that's life. You know, it's supposed to handle like it's supposed to do all that.
So absolute confidence in the car, and the Castrol Cougars are going very well too, so we hope they can at least finish, and possibly, you never know, might even sneak into the top 10 the way things are going.
Well, it is good to see them still going, and that's right. They've just got to play it cool and keep the damn thing going. And, they blotted their copy a bit yesterday, but look, that's all behind them and us, and so far so good. But you're right, same old story. Keep going, keep going.
Larry, well done so far. Thank you very much for taking the time out to join us, and have a great last stint, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Larry Perkins, who knows, on his way to number 6. Lee and Mark.
He's still pretty laid back for a guy that's only 8 or 9 laps away from stepping into a final stint, and perhaps his 6th Bathurst win. Let's hope he does that. Gary Rogers, thanks very much for your time. Greatly appreciated, and the best of luck. Let's hope Stephen and Jimmy can stay up there on the podium.
Thanks very much, Lee. I've got to get back down there now, and to both you and Mark, thanks for your wishes, and we'll give it our best shot and see what happens in about another hour. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Meanwhile, we're with the Castrol Cougars, the all-girl team, and doing a great job in the race. Melinda Price at the wheel now, currently sitting in 13th position. And considering the dramas Melinda had during the week, off at Hell Corner earlier on, then she put it into the wall coming out of Repco. So a bit of damage to the car, but it's been repaired and running strongly. I was talking to Karen earlier on. She said Melinda was just a little bit jumpy, a little bit nervous, as you would be after having those sort of dramas. But they've got themselves in the groove, and the girls are doing a great job just outside the top 10.
Well, they're sitting in 13th position at the moment. It's been 10 years since there's been an all-female combination, and it's been 27 years since the highest place all-female combination, which was 13th, which is ironically where they're sitting right now. So let's hope the girls can break that in their first run at Bathurst together. They shared 4 drives in the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. The last 4 rounds, they did 2 each, and they did quite well. They certainly held their own, and especially in the Privateers Cup. It's been a very steep learning curve for them both. They've both got their own backgrounds in karting and various production cars. Melinda's driven here before in production cars, whereas Karen was a rookie on the mount. And there she is there having a look.
Karen Brewer watching on. Melinda Price at the wheel of the Castrol Cougars Commodore, as she brings it up across the top of the mountain. 26 years of age from Melbourne, Melinda. Started karting when she was just 9 years of age. And she really loves her motor racing. She's had a pretty character-building week, as both girls have, but the car's still out there running, and running strongly, as you'd expect from a Perkins engineering car.
G'day, Karen. How are you going?
Makes me crack a smile too. These 2 girls running 3rd currently in the Privateers battle. The Level 2 Privateers battle. So that's the race within a race.
I'll be very happy to be where they're sitting at the moment. They're third place privateer third place privateer at the moment. So they're doing exceptionally well, and so long as they keep a cool head and keep it all together, they'll be doing very well, and it will be a successful day for Castrol if things remain as is, because Russell Engel still leads the 97 Primus 1000 Classic. There is your Levi's Privateers leaderboard. It's Shembry and Luff in the Hooters Gearbox Commodore that leads the way. Steniken and Gazzard, the Scots Transport Machine, second. Then Price and Brewer third, ahead of Rose and Burt.
Through to 8 in the Levi's scoreboard. Smurton and Cox, they were leading at one stage. O'Brien and Callaghan, Palmer and English in the Commodore, he's been in dramas, and Walden and Williams 8th.
Well, we've had our fair share of people up in the commentary box today, and I'd rather not say, but the majority of them have been hard luck stories, and we've got another one, Charlie O'Brien. Much rather see you out on the track, mate.
I can't believe it, he's smiling. How can you smile after that? I thought you'd be absolutely shattered.
Well, I've been here enough times to know that disappointment comes pretty quick at this place, and really I don't get excited till the last lap of one of these big races.
But how do you handle it? I mean, it must be so shattering. You say the car, you knew the car was a jet, it was very fast all day, you're really in this with a heck of a chance of winning the race. It just must make your heart bleed, particularly when something's so simple. If you had a major crash or a major engine failure, you'd say, okay, well, there's no way we're going to go on with that, but a broken throttle cable, you've got to be kidding.
I know, Mark, it's very hard to understand. I think Brock broke one down at Sandown, as I mentioned before, and I haven't talked to the crew to see whether you can run two throttle cables. Like, if one breaks, like, let's have a spare, for God's sake. It is a bit hard. I suppose we've just got to wait next year. Tony's good enough to give us a drive. We had a great car, and I don't think it's going to damper him. He's got so much enthusiasm for this sport. He's going to be back.
What I want to know, Charlie O'Brien, are you going to keep this fitness stint up?
Of course, Lee. Of course.
He's just hooked on it now. You two certainly formed a very potent driving combination too, because as you guys well know, at the level 1 competition, you can't afford to have number 1 and number 2. You've got to have two number 1 drivers who can match each other's times virtually.
Well, it is pretty hard, Mark, because I haven't done any driving this year. Sandown was my first drive, so the only thing you can do is to get up to our local track in Queensland and do as many laps as you can. But really, there's no substitute for out there racing against guys and door handle to door handle. So it does become pretty hard. Just lucky that I have had a lot of experience with these big cars, and it comes back pretty easy year by year.
Just having a look back further through the field, there's the Cotto Dillman entry there back in 23rd position in the Allens Commodore. We come down Conrod Straight one more time. There's your top 10 at the moment. Engel, Mediki, Richards, Seaton, Baird. Terry Finnegan is up into 6th position. That's terrific. Shembry, Stenigan, Faulkner, Ashby, Hossack just outside the top 10 as the Ford Credit Falcon comes into the pits yet again.
Yeah, all sorts of dramas there, a lap down on our race leader, but they're still sitting there in 4th position. Glenn Seaton, the Ford Credit Falcon, you can see the amount of race tape and damage on the car. They've had a pretty torrid day, but they're still in there. David Parsons getting in for another stint behind the wheel. And there's Glenn Seaton said, great disappointment, the little dramas they've had earlier in the day, because the car's been quite quick otherwise.
Out on lap 119 of 161.
So Glenn Seaton rejoins the race. So the order now, Engel building on that lead all the time over Andrew Medeki in the Mitre 10 Ford. It's out to 43 seconds now. Jim Richards in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore in 3rd position. There is our 2nd place car. In the Mitre 10 Ford, Andrew Medeki at the wheel. Mark Larkin will be waiting to get back in for his final stint, the run to the flag. And boy, Charlie, if they can bring this home on the podium, that'd be a great turn-up for Mark Larkin. He must be the unluckiest racing driver I've ever seen.
Yes, I know, Mark, it'd be great to see them up there. Mark deserves a break, and he's been trying very hard with this category for a couple of years now, and has always been in the wars, so no, it'd be great to see him up there.
Here is the Valvoline Cummins combination of Jim and Stephen Richards. He's doing some pretty good lap times, Jimmy, and he seems to be closing the gap on Andrew Mediki, sitting in 3rd spot at the moment. It's not too far away before he changes over to his son Stephen. Stephen will bring the Valvoline Cummins Commodore home. Here is your Holden race score. It hasn't changed for quite a while up the front. Perkins and Engel, Larkin, Mediki, the Richards and Richards combination ahead of Seaton and Parsons, Johnson and Baird. The next 5, Finnegan and Shield. That's tremendous effort for Terry. We go back, Stenican and Gazzard there, Ashby and Reed in 10th.
1000 Classic Update, brought to you by Armour All.
Welcome back to the Primus 1000 as we recap on the last hour of this race. And this mountain, by the way, is making few friends. This is Trevor Ashby in the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore. Stalled it up the top, but did manage to get it back, and a huge roar from the crowd right up the top. This is Russell Engel. He extended his lead in the Perkins Commodore out to 18 seconds at one stage. But all the dramas involving those level 1 drivers that you've seen, well, it left the door open for the top privateers. This is the top at the moment. Neil Shembry moved his Commodore into the top 10 overall. A terrific performance from the privateers. Now, coming out of Murray's Corner, the Palmer English car spun out. It was also lucky not to be collected by Mal Stenican as it tried to get back into action. Down into the pits, plenty of action for Scott Pruitt in the Komatsu Team Falcon with Alan Jones. They had a problem with the power steering, and poor old Scotty had to sit there twice in the pits. Tony Longhurst started this day in 39th position. Somehow he managed to bring it right up into second and force the Castrolls into a 1-2 position at that stage. But just have a look at how it ended for Tony Longhurst. A really sad end to this day after, as I mentioned, a brilliant drive from Tony Longhurst. He snapped the throttle cable heading up to the mountain, and well, really this has been the story of the day for many cars. Another tyre blowout. This is from the Palmer Promotions Commodore. And Bill Woods, as we head into 5 hours, head past 5 hours, well, this has been a long, hard slog.
Oh yes, 40 laps to go, Matthew, and we're with the 9th placed Fisher & Paykel Better Electrical VS Commodore. Win Percy behind the wheel now, 54 years old, one of several 50-plus drivers in this field. He's won Bathurst, and that was back in 1990, hoping to give John Faulkner's team a very good showing. Well, top 10's not bad. They finished even better at Sandown, a very surprising 4th. Of course, running as a level 1 team. I mentioned earlier that he was the Privateers Cup winner, John Faulkner, this year, but definitely running as a level 1 team in this event. The top 2 privateers now are in the top 10, and that's Malcolm Stenican ahead of Ian Luff. So great performance here from the privateers. Of course, many dropouts throughout the afternoon. Russell Engel's lead has extended to 42 seconds. He's lapping at a 2:15.5. Medeki in second place is lapping at around the same time, but of course he has to do better than that to make up the gap. Jimmy Richards behind the wheel of the father and son combination, the Valvoline Cummins Commodore, in third place right now ahead of David Parsons, who's moved into Glenn Seaton's Ford Credit Falcon. Craig Baird with Win Percy and of course Scott Pruitt, the only 3 overseas drivers here today. Terry Finnegan in 6th place. Then, of course, we have Stenican and Luff, Percy in 9th, and Trevor Ashby rounds out the top 10.
We were speaking of privateers just a short time ago. I just caught a glimpse of the OAMPS car, the OAMPS Commodore coming into the pits, the combination, the youngest combination in the race of Darren Pate and Ryan McLeod. It looked like Ryan was set to come out and Darren back in. There they are. There's the young guys in the pits, and Ryan McLeod is out of the car. Darren Pate back in. Those guys were running in the low 20s, back in 22nd position. They qualified second fastest. They were looking very good. They've obviously had their fair share of problems today. Back in 22nd position, but nonetheless we've still got plenty of time remaining in this one. A little under 40 laps left in the 97 Primus 1000 Classic, and this pit stop seems to be taking an unusual amount of time.
Yeah, they've had a few dramas there. Running as sister car to the John Faulkner machine. The OAM's Commodore sitting in there. They've had a pretty good run so far. We just saw them limping down pit lane, and looks like some pretty major dramas with the car. Got the mechanics crawling underneath. Having a look under there, looks like it's toward the rear of the car.
While they work frantically in the pits, you better work frantically with your fingers on the phone. You've got less than 2 minutes to get your vote in, which Brock Banner you thought was the best out of the 4 that we've shown you to put yourself in the running to win that marvellous V8 SS Commodore. Less than 2 minutes to post your vote, your thought on which one you thought was the best. And if you judge the same ones that we do, you win that beautiful V8 SS Commodore. John Smales.
And the problem with the Ryan McLeod car, Ryan, is what?
No, it's something in the driveline, and tail shaft or a diff bearing or something. I think it was making a rumbling for a few laps. It didn't get any worse, and then all of a sudden it just started clanging really badly. It's a diff center bearing or a tail shaft.
You're really testing the mechanics now because they're under the car changing the tail shaft.
Yes, well, they had to pull the tail shaft off to change the diff bearing anyway, so it's pretty precautionary. It's not much more work to do that. And we just want to get it home for OAMs, our sponsors.
So frustrating, isn't it, when you were leading the privateers earlier in the day?
Yeah, after stalling on the grid and then getting away and charging back through the field. And the car is absolutely fantastic. John Faulkner Racing have done a great job. The car's great. We've had a few hiccups and it's just cost us dearly.
Well, 10 years ago, your dad won this race with Brock. It would have been nice to get up there today, wouldn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, none of the Brock clan are going to make it home today, I think.
Well, there you have it, the OAM's Commodore Darren Pate just sitting there. An interesting little fact there. Oh, we see the Seaton Parsons entry off the track. David Parsons is parking the Ford Credit Falcon.
Let's have a listen and see if he talks to the crew. We might get a clue as to what's happened with the car. Oh, they're on board with Parsons and the XR Falcon on board camera. And that's a definite no-no, rolling backwards down the track. Parsons is trying to get the car into a safe position, somewhere in the gap in the fence. There he's heading for, just one of the driveway entrances to one of the houses, the many houses around Mount Panorama. He's just trying to do the right thing and get it out of the firing line. Well, team manager Tony Murphy watching this on the monitor. He's with John Smales.
And Tony, what's the problem?
Seems like there's something failed in the drive line, John. Not sure just exactly what yet, but something there is broken.
What were his first words to you?
He thought it may have been a tail shaft. As yet, we're not sure.
Isn't it just so frustrating, Tony?
It certainly is. It's a tough race.
What's Glenn got to do to win this thing?
Oh, mate, I really don't know. You've put so much work and effort into this one race. You can only try and come with the best product that you can come up with.
I know everyone tries hard, but you guys seem to put in so much more effort. It's a heart thing, isn't it, as much as a head thing?
Yes, it is. It's probably a lot harder for Glenn than it is for us. It's a hard pill for us to swallow as well.
Thanks, mate.
Right, John.
Yep, a very bitter pill to swallow. Tony Murphy worked on the car, engineered the car that won this year's Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. But obviously 3 20-minute sprints is a different challenge too. Oh, look at this! Russell Engel, our race leader. He's taken a wild trip over the shrubbery there. He was way offline. You could see all the dust and dirt. Find how much time that cost him when he comes across the start-finish line this time around. But Andrew Madecki in the Mitre 10 Ford, who's been matching Engel sometimes on lap speed, will take advantage of that little mishap.
That cost him quite a few seconds too. That last lap of 2:17, taking that little bit of a dangerous ride through the Caltex chase. Well, that last lap around, he did have a 44-second gap. We go on board now, the Shell Helix in-car camera. Let's have a look at it.
Oof. So, I don't know whether there was another car involved there. It looked like Engel was on his own. We'll have a look at that again here. He's completely on his own. And he's got a big brake lockup on that left front tyre. And that has allowed him not to steer into the corner from our chopper. And he's got it back onto the track. Hopefully that was the only problem, just a lock brake. Fingers crossed for the Castrol team. Look at that from another angle. Yep. Big brake lockup from that left front tyre. And it just didn't allow him to turn the corner. Because when the front tyres are locked, it's possible to turn a car. So Engel just trying to cadence brake to get the car around the turn. He had a bit of a ride across the grass, but looks like he's back up to race pace. And it didn't really cost him anything too. 42 seconds, the gap between himself and his pursuer, Andrew Madecki. So it really hasn't affected that buffer at all.
Well, the largest winning margin here at Bathurst was 19 seconds, just a little over 19 seconds, and that was last year when Craig Lowndes and Greg Murphy won. At the moment, the lead margin stands at 42 seconds. Russell Engel Larry Perkins over the mark. Larkham, Andrew Mediki, Mitre 10 Falcon.
I can tell you the Jim Richards, Stephen Richards Valvoline car is just 1.9 seconds behind Medeki in second, so there's still a good battle on for second and third position, the Primus 1000 Classic, as we ride with Russell Engel, braking hard for Caltex Chase. This is the same point where he locked the brake just a lap before. Much tidy this time to see him loosening his belts. I think the team are getting ready for a change. Pit stop on lap 124. This should be the last one. Larry Perkins will take it right through to the flag. So Engel brings it in. Final driver change. Final load of fuel. Final load of tyres for the Castrol Commodore in the Primus 1000.
Let's see how they go. Engel bringing it in. They've been very slick, the Castrol Perkins outfit. Larry will be standing by down trackside, and so too is Barry Sheen.
Yeah, well, it's all going to plan so far. Russell's getting out. Larry in. Tyres being changed. No problems. No one's in a panic. And it's Russell just belting Larry in. That's the most difficult thing, to see the belts. You see, you can't look down, you can't see through to the bottom of your helmet, so it's all a bit of a struggle. You have to rely on your co-driver. 100% done. Lovely, great stop.
Very slick, very efficient, as always. The Castrol Perkins outfit, Larry Perkins, Russell Engel. Russell's out, Larry's in, and he will be bringing this car home, and perhaps to his 6th Bathurst win.
Should be an interesting equation with fuel too. He's got 36 laps to go to the finish of this race. We saw the guys pitting in about lap 32, 33. So I'm sure Larry knows what he's doing. He would have done his sumps pretty accurately, but it might be a bit close on fuel.
Climbing up Mountain Straight, Larry Perkins is looking pretty comfortable. We've got about 36 or so laps left to run in the 97 Primus 1000. Can Larry make it number 6? We'll be back after this.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama, and this is an amazing battle for the lead. Twice we've seen these cars take each other. On the last lap, we saw Richards take Medeki, and then Medeki won it back, but it's all academic because the third-placed Perkins car has already had its pit stop, so it now inherits the lead again. And these two cars, of course, it'll be fascinating to see if they can get back out on the track quickly and resume this marvellous contest.
Well, Jim's just handed back over the wheel to son Stephen. Medeki has handed back to regular driver Mark Larkham, and the battle is really going to be on. There's Jimmy. They've got some problems by the looks of things, still helping Stephen. They had to open the door and shut it again. There's Gary Rogers at the front of the car, and away we go.
Who's going to come out first? Stephen Richards in the Valvoline car.
Beat him by a long way.
Looks like the Stone Brothers Ford still in the pits. Maybe a drama there with the Mitre 10 Ford. But Stephen Richards first out by a long shot. There they go. Just out of shot. Just saw them go under our commentary box. So the Mitre 10 Ford back in the event.
Rejoining the circuit. This is a replay of what happened just a few moments ago. The battle was really on. Jimmy Richards putting the pressure big time on Andrew Medeki, took him up the inside, hitting through the Caltex Chase, and listen to the cheers from the crowd.
Plenty of Holden fans over at Caltex Chase there. They like that. Jim Richards sneaking through. But the battle wasn't over because Andrew Medeki wasn't having any of that. He came back on the attack as they braked hard for Murray's corner onto pit straight. And Andrew Medeki continued the chase. Locked in behind the Valvoline Cummins Commodore. Jim Richards feeling the pressure from the Port Macquarie driver. And as they came back up Mountain Straight once again, Medeki used the draft of the Commodore in front of him to good effect. He got right up behind Jim Richards as they headed up toward the Holden Rise once again, building up to 240 kilometres an hour, and out he came. Ducked out of the draft, went for the brakes up the inside, and got Richards as they headed up to Repco Bend. Fantastic battle.
47-year-old Andrew Medeki from Port Macquarie. He's a car dealer, and this battle just kept going on and on and on. The intensity getting higher and higher all the time. We go back to live. This is Stephen Richards in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore, who now sits in second position. Barry Sheen.
Yeah, Russell Engel, you gave everybody a coronary down here when you went up. What happened?
You're not the only one, I tell you. Jesus, no, I was just coming down. It was getting towards close to our pit stop, and I was just going into the chase and just about to turn in, and it ran out of fuel. We have a reserve, but it ran out of fuel, gave a big cough, and I had no power. And with these things, when you don't get on the power, they don't turn.
Oh yeah, perfect timing.
Oh yeah, it had to happen right there, but you know, luckily I sort of just barreled it up and just missed the curve because I was dead worried about wiping a front spoiler off, but hit the reserve. That gives us another lap and back into it, so thankfully we didn't drop too much.
Fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, it's getting close.
John?
And the stopwatch tells the story. The Richards car came into the pits and out again in 36 seconds. The Madecki car took 43. The difference was that the front right-hand tyre wouldn't seat properly and you had to stop again, Andrew. Andrew, it's been a sensational race.
Yeah, it has been what a race, eh? The pressure's been on all the way and we've gone as fast as we possibly could every lap of the way. And it's just great to see the Mitre 10 Falcon up there.
The other thing you guys had to do was affect your your driver change from the left-hand side. Why was that?
Early in the race, I had a touch with a slower car, and that put a dent in the door, and I think it's knocked the unlocking mechanism out of the spot, so we can't open the right-hand door. So I've got to climb out the left-hand, which makes it pretty busy, I've got to tell you.
Andrew, is your job over for the day now?
Well, I think we've got about 40 laps to go. And I think it's now time for Mark Larkin to show what a really great driver he is and to really fly the flag for Mitre 10. So yeah, I think I'm finished.
Don't you love the voice of experience?
Both drivers with plenty of open wheeler experience. Mark Larkham has been waiting a long time for this opportunity, Mark Osler, to really show his full worth in a V8 supercar.
Yeah, we don't want to do the mockers on him yet because he's had a wretched season. He's had a number of wretched seasons, actually. He launched the Mitre 10 race team on the M-Tech team back in 1995. He tried to develop his own car, build it from the ground up with a lot of open wheeler technology, open wheeler engineering philosophy in it, and the car, and Mark will admit that the car just didn't work. He just couldn't get the thing to work properly at all. So after 2 years of struggling with that, he switched over, took his Mitre 10 sponsorship to Ross and Jim Stone in Queensland, and they put him in one of their cars. And really, even though he hasn't had a lot of luck, he's had a lot of speed this year, and hopefully all that agony can be put behind him with a good result here.
There's your Levi's race score. Perkins and Engel, they have got a massive 53-second gap. They're looking very comfortable at the moment. It's a little bit closer now. We've got Jim Richards and Stephen Richards sitting in second. Larkin Madecki third. Stephen Johnson and Craig Bed have done a terrific job to claw their way back up to fourth.
Yeah, look at that. Fifth now, Finnegan and Shield. Great run from the Sydney Privateer. Running as a level 1 team this year, 4 laps down. Look at those gaps, 6 laps. Really has an incredibly high rate of attrition. Levi's race score tells the story. We work our way back. 13th, Price and Brewer still there in 13th, some 7 laps down, Smurden and Cox. But the Privateer battle still being led by Gazzard and Steniken, and they're up to 7th position. That's an outstanding effort from the Privateers on the control tyres.
They're doing very, very well. Malcolm Steniken, Peter Gazzard, the South Australian combination with Scott's Transport sponsorship. They're doing a very good job.
Neil Shembry and Ian Luff right behind them, both on 123 laps in 7th and 8th positions. Just at the tail of the top 10. They're doing a tremendous job. Here's Shell 17 Ford getting back into the race as they head up toward Ripco Bend once again. And Larry Perkins, meanwhile, with a lead of 54 seconds over Stephen Richards, who's just got back into the Valvoline Cummins Commodore. So almost a minute lead over second place Mark Larkham, some 10 seconds further behind Stephen Richards. Interesting to see if they can close that gap.
Well, as per usual, as this big race winds down each and every year, you only get a handful, if that, of competitors, of teams on the lead lap. And at the moment we have 3 cars on the lead lap. That is Perkins, Richards and Larkin. Steve Johnson, the car we're watching now, the number 18 Shell Helix Falcon, is some 3 laps down on the leading car.
We've got to keep grinding along, and we go back to the Wins Commodore, car 45, the Freddie Gibson motorsport car driven by Stephen Ellery and Darren Hossack. Darren Hossack currently at the wheel, running in 9th position outright on 123 laps. He's some 7 laps down on our race leader, Larry Perkins. It's an indication of what a tough day it's been for the 2 youngsters.
Yeah, they've got to be happy with that though, Mark. A top 10 finish in not Stephen, but Darren's first time on the mountain. This is only his first season in V8 Supercars. Stephen's got a couple of seasons under his belt in the Supercars. So Hosak's done a very good job. What do you think, Bill Woods?
Well, with me now is Glenn Seaton down in the pits as we keep an eye on this fascinating battle for the top three, as we said, on the same lap. Glenn, the story of the Ford Credit Falcon today was to me like a scene from Jaws. This mountain kept taking bites out of you until finally you went under.
Yeah, we looked like we'd broken a tail shaft, so that's put an end to our chances. But like I said before, I'll keep coming back until I do conquer this mountain one day. And I'm very lucky I've got age on my side. I'm only 32 and I've still got many years to go in my career. But it is disappointing, but that's motor racing, as I say.
25 cars left. Have you seen such an attrition rate in a race like this among the top contenders?
Well, I think the pace is unbelievable. Like the pace that the race started at was unbelievably hard, and everybody treated it as a sprint race. And there's no doubt they are falling away, but some of them have been caught up in incidents and things like that. So really, it's going to be an interesting race to the end.
Well, the two of the greatest things about this race, of course, were A, the close competition between a lot of the cars, B, the fact that we had such a big field, because obviously the conditions were very favourable for privateers this year. Perhaps in a way that worked against us in the sense that the competition brought about a few problems. It was a little too hot, maybe.
Well, I suppose that's part of the job. You've got to get your car to go all the way and make sure nothing goes wrong. And it's amazing with this race. 161 laps around here, in one way doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a hell of a lot, and it's probably the hardest circuit in Australia on cars. And naturally, you just got to get everything right and come back and fix the problems and come back next year.
Well, it goes to show the chasm of difference between the two Enduros at the end of the season and, of course, the Touring Car Championship, which you won. You know, and a lot of the credit for that goes to your reliability, and ironically, you've had nothing but trouble at Sandown and Bathurst.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. In the past, engine side of it's probably let us down here. Today it's tail shaft, so we're working back through the car and fixing bits and pieces as we go, but hopefully next year we'll have a better run.
Well, Glenn, commiserations. Congratulations, of course, on a championship-winning year. We can't forget that. And, of course, we'll see you back here next time.
Yeah, for sure. I can't complain at all. I've had a great year to win the championship. That's equally as important as Bathurst is. And to come away with the championship has been great. And especially after 2 years ago, we're sort of at the end of the cigarette era and didn't even know if I'd be racing. So I'm very lucky to be here and be a part of this show.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for your time. We'll be back with more from Mount Panorama very soon. You're watching the leading privateer of the 1997 Primus 1000 Classic at the Wheelers. Ian Luff in his rookie attempt at the big race on the mountain. Can he do it? It will be an enormous performance. 6th overall, mind you, ahead of Gazard in the battle for the Privateer Stakes. $25,000. Let's go back to Lee Diffie and Mark Osler.
It's been a great effort by these two guys, Mark, Neil Shembry and Ian Luff, especially, as Bill just mentioned, in Ian Luff's rookie appearance here on the mountain in a V8 Supercar. He's done a tremendous job, and there is your Levi's Privateers scoreboard at the moment. Shembry, Luff, Steniken and Gazard, the Melbourne-Adelaide combination there, and then the Castrol Cougars still running in 3rd. That's great.
And look at their outright positions too, 6th and 7th for our leading privateers. I don't think anyone would have suspected they would have been that strong.
Melrose, Kevin Burton back there in 5th position. This is the Castrol Cougars. They're in the pits.
Well, they were up to 12th position, and they've just come in for what should be their final stop. So the all-girl crew, Karen Brewer and Belinda Price, still soldiering on, and that's great. Really good to see after the troubles they had earlier in the week. The girls are doing a great job. They were running in 12th position and 3rd in the Privateers Cup battle. Lap 134 of 161. Still got a long, long way to go. Gary Rogers said 30-odd laps around this place is an awfully long way, particularly when you're a nervous team manager.
Yeah, exactly. 134 of 161. So we're not too far away from the end. Here we go. We've got a good privateer battle going on here. Though the Sony Auto Sound Commodore there of Terry Finnegan and Terry Shield, they're running in the Class 1, the special Class 1 category this weekend. They duck up the inside. They're coming up there on the Osborne Heffernan entry. The Price Attack Commodore and Terry Shield and Terry Finnegan. The Sony Auto Sound car's gone right on through.
go to Barry Sheen in the pits.
I'm with Thomas Mazzera. Thomas, that was an industrial strength accident. What happened?
Well, it was just, something incredible. I went around the corner, I went flat out. It was on every lap, doing about 285. And the front tyre delaminated and took the brake line off. And I jumped on the brakes and just no brakes. Then I could see it there, yeah. Incredible, yeah. It's just...
it hasn't finished yet, look at that.
Well, actually, when it started to roll, then I was quite happy about it because I was worried about hitting the wall. Then, I jumped on the brakes and pedal went all the way to the floor. And the next thing I did, I just spun the car away from the wall. I didn't want to hit the wall in that speed, and I was hoping to get in a sand trap and roll the car, just slow it down.
Well, you got 10 out of 10 for artistic impression.
Well, I tell you, I was getting a bit worried at one stage. I had a couple of golf games lined up next week, and I was worried I was not going to make it.
Great, thanks a lot, Tom.
Cheers.
Thomas Mazzera with that very scary crash earlier this morning. Here is the Sony Auto Sound car. It's running very, very well today. Terry Finnegan behind the wheel at the moment. He's working his way past Brian Walden there.
11th position for Terry Finnegan. Running in the level 1 division at Bathurst this afternoon. Normally he runs as a privateer, but he's chosen the option of freedom of tyres, and that made him a level 1 team, running with all the professionals. But meanwhile, this battle for the lead is getting closer. Stephen Richards running in 2nd position behind Larry Perkins. He's at 58 seconds behind the Castrol Holden. But the Mark Larkham, Andrew Madecki, Mitre 10 Ford is closing the gap. It's down to 6 seconds now. Larkham is really on a charge. He wants that 2nd position.
Just coming past Kevin Burton there in the Fairfax Community Newspaper's car. I was just talking with Mal Rose just a moment ago. He was saying that they've done a clutch, so when they come into the pit stop they'll have to push the car away. So a few problems there. They know that they've lost the class win, but they're going to keep on soldiering on.
Well, could this finally be the time when Mark Larkham's luck turns around? We've ridden with him for years, felt the anguish, the massive disappointment of a string of failures with his cars. Now this thing is going really well. You can see the battle damage where the car collided after spinning on the oil from Wayne Gardner's blown engine earlier in the day. Clouded the Coke Commodore. We thought it might have been out of the race with the amount of body damage. We saw the mechanics bashing away at those rear wheel fenders to try and get the tyres back in. Well, they've done all that, and the car continues to run strongly.
Well, it has a huge following, this car. All the Mitre 10 employees right around the country, the majority of them get right behind Larko. They enjoy watching his progress. Hasn't had the best of luck, though. There's the split from the Richards combination back to Larkham. Just a little over 6 seconds at the moment. Lap 136 of 161. We're approaching 5.5 hours of the Primus 1000 Classic for 1997. It's gone fairly quickly, actually. There's been plenty of action and there's been plenty of dropouts. It's been a hard day on the machines, the drivers and the teams.
So Mark Larkham continues to grind away. It's 6.4 seconds the gap, so that gap between himself and 2nd place Stephen Richards has stabilised as he continues his chase of this car. 2nd place Cummins Valvoline Commodore. Let's check how they are on the Holden race score. Perkins and Engel continue to lead, grinding their opposition into a pulp. Stephen Richards and Jim Richards in 2nd. Larkham and Madecki chasing hard in 3rd. Stephen Johnson in 4th, some 3 laps down, and 6 laps behind our race leader, Faulkner and Percy.
We're beginning to bring it on home. Shembry and Luff, they're the first of the privateers and going great guns. Steniken and Gazzard, Hossack and Ellery up into 8th, ahead of Ashby and Reed and Jones and Pruitt.
A lot of confidence for the privateers there. They're well up in the top 10. Finnegan and Shield, Bryce and Brewer hang on to 12th position, some 8 laps down. Then it's Smurton and Cox in the Victoria Coffee entry. Rose and Burton in the Fairfax Commodore. Crick and Fitzgerald in the Ericsson car.
We keep you in touch. We go right back through the field. Palmer and English, Seaton and Parsons, of course, they're out. Walden and Williams, Cotter and Dillman, Heffernan and Osborne.
See how far down the order on the right-hand side there. Russell and Shaw, the Union Steel, 21 laps down. O'Brien, Callahan, Barnacle, and the Everlast, Batteries Holden. Taylor, Attard and Bell in the X. Winfield Cars, Xerox Shop, Hart, Lawrence, SMC Pneumatics in 24th position, some 37 laps down.
Welcome back to the Primus 1000 Classic, live and exclusive to Network 10. We're on Mount Panorama and watching a couple of the privateers go round. A great battle there, the Dillman and Cotter car, duelling with Peter Fitzgerald. More on that in just a moment, but I have to apologise on behalf of the network right now because the success of this event has been so great that our switchboards, as well prepared as they were for the Holden banner competition, have been absolutely red hot with your responses. So once again, we're sorry, but please be patient, as a lot of callers are obviously finding it very hard to get through. Obviously, with a great prize such as the Holden SS Commodore at stake, there's keen interest, but like this race with a crowd of 52,000 here today, the popularity of this event has just been enormous. So please stay with us as we look from the top of the pit lane at the leading car of Larry Perkins and Russell Engel. Here's John Smales.
This was not a scheduled stop, but it was a sensational tactical move. 16 seconds the Perkins car spent in the pits. It took on a full tank of fuel. It took on 4 new tyres. And it is out again before the second place car comes through. Perkins has blitzed them. This is a great tactical manoeuvre.
Well, Larry's boys deserve a big pat on the back for that. A tremendous pit stop there, 16 seconds in and out. That'll certainly bring a smile to Larry's face, knowing that he's got 4 fresh tyres underneath with about 23 laps to go.
Well, it was already almost a minute in front, so he had the luxury up his sleeve, a 16-second stop. That usually pumps out to about 30 seconds by the time you've slowed down and sped up again, but he's still got plenty of time up his speed. We're following the Greg Crick, Peter Fitzgerald, Ericsson Commodore. These guys have been doing a great job all day. Very reliable run. And right at the moment, Peter Fitzgerald sitting in 15th position outright in the Alcare Ericsson Commodore, car owned by John Alcorn. And they've had a very trouble-free run most of the day.
Both those guys have had a very busy weekend. Both competed in the GTP 3-hour showroom showdown yesterday afternoon and have been working extremely hard today since 10 a.m. this morning. Running 15th at the moment. That's a credit to them and the team. They're going very well. Down Conrod Straight, there is the Allen's Commodore of John Cotter, Peter Dillman. They were our fastest privateers in qualifying, picked up $5,000 for their efforts. They've had their fair share of trouble today too.
It was a great job by Peter Dillman. A lot of pressure there. He's having a great shootout with Darren Pate in the OAM's Commodore. They're trying to get that pole position, that $5,000 with the top place privateer in qualifying. Well, they did that, and still plugging on pretty consistently in the race too.
They're an interesting bunch of guys. John Cotter, Peter Dillman. There's the Palmer and English car. That looks like it's in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, some sort of mechanical failure. Let's hope he can lift that around to the pits. Looks like he's having some sort of trouble. The engine pickup, it's backfiring and carrying on. The crowd cheering him on. They want to see him get it across the top of the hill. It's going to be a long, slow trip. Just part of the drama. But Mount Panorama really has been a car destroyer in 1997. And just more and more casualties, and I think he's going to make it. He's crossed the white line. He may park it there for the rest of the day.
Here is Mark Larkham, the Komatsu Pertec Conrad Jupiter's Falcon, running in 3rd position at the moment. Stephen Richards, 1 position better, and of course, Larry Perkins in the lead.
Jason Bright in the Komatsu Conrad Jupiter's Falcon, getting his stint after Scotty Pruitt and Alan Jones had a steer of the car. See him working it pretty hard, you might as well. They're back there in 10th position, just at the rear of the top 10, but some 8 laps behind our race leader Larry Perkins. So after a very strong start, if you remember the speed of Alan Jones in those opening laps, they really had a few problems. Power steering, various other things, so it hasn't been the most reliable run for the Komatsu Ford. But the other car, the sister car to this, the Mitre 10 Ford, being driven by Andrew Madecki, and Mark Larkham continues to push at the front, currently running in 3rd position with a good chance of being in a battle for 2nd.
Well, it's great to see young Jason get a drive. He really held up his end of the deal in the Sandown 500 with Alan Jones, finishing 3rd outright, and that was only his 2nd major V8 Supercar drive, so he did very, very well. That's good to see him getting a drive here at the Primus 1000. Just 21 laps left to run.
Yeah, we saw a great battle between the two Jasons at Malala, didn't we, when they were deciding the Australian Drivers' Championship. Comes out to overtake the Union Steel Wayne Russell Commodore, another one of our many privateers in the field. Continuing on is Mal Rose in the Fairfax Community Newspapers Commodore, and teamed up with Kevin Burton. It's a classic privateer's effort, this, isn't it, when you think about it? Talking to Mal on the pitch this morning, he said, we've only got one of everything. That is one engine, one gearbox, one diff, and if one of those goes, we're out of the race. So it's a remarkable effort to see them keep going.
They used an interesting strategy too in terms of qualifying. They weren't interested in, not necessarily that they weren't interested in the $5,000 for the fastest qualifier, but they weren't interested in getting on pole. What they wanted to do, what Mal particularly wanted to do, was give Kevin laps in the car. So he did lots of laps. They sort of shared the laps so Kevin could get a feel for it. Mal's done plenty of laps around here, and they said it doesn't really matter where we start, we'll work our way through. There was your Levi's scoreboard for the moment, lap 141 of 161.
And Mal Rose, Kevin Burton currently running in 14th position. They're ahead of the Fitzgerald Crick car we saw just a few laps ago. And full credit too to Bert Jones in Sydney, the legendary camshaft manufacturer. That guy's now 74 years of age. He's lost none of his skills. He built this Chevy engine for this car, and he's done a tremendous job. It's been very quick on the straights, and it's obviously a reliable unit. So full credit to Bert Jones. Age shall not weary them.
Here comes Jason Bright in the Komatsu Pertec Falcon. Last pass the Rose Burton entry down Conrod Straight. Some valuable experience here for Jason, sitting in 10th position at the moment. Perkins, Richards, Larkham, Stephen Johnson, Wynne Percy, Ian Luff, Pete Gazzard, Steve Ellery, Steve Reed and Jason Bright. They are top 10. Terry Finnegan's just dropped out. And the Castrol Cougars are still sitting in 12th position.
This is going to be pretty interesting to watch. Larry Perkins, after making that stop for fuel and tyres, has closed the gap between himself and Stephen Richards in second place down to 17 seconds. But last time around, Perkins did a 2:16.3 and Richards a very rapid 2:14.7. So Larry may have just hit some traffic there, but the gap now is down under half a minute. And no doubt the Valvoline Cummins boys, Gary Rogers Motorsport, still got a sniff of victory.
Yeah, absolutely. Those top three all on the lead lap and all with their final drivers in it. We're so close to home now in the Primus 1000 Classic. Larry will bring the Castrol Commodore home. Stevie Richards will bring the Valvoline Cummins Commodore home. And Larkham, the Mitre 10 Falcon home. Larkham, you'd have to say, may have to settle just for a third here. That's nothing to sneeze at. He's done exceptionally well, both he and Andrew Medicki. But Richards may still be in with a chance.
Well, he's still 10 seconds behind Perkins. Stephen Richards in the Gary Rogers Motorsport car, lapping in 2:14.7 last time around. Perkins at 2:16.3. Well, watch Larry's time this time. Yeah, just a little blip in the statistics there when he hit one of the slower cars. Perkins now has dropped back into the 2:14. So 2:14.87. And we're just waiting for Steve Richards to come through. But Perkins back on the pace, the necessary race pace to win this one. A 2:15.5 for Steve Richards. So you can see, as Crompton said so eloquently, polluted lap times these cars produce sometimes when they hit some slower traffic.
Here is Stephen Richards working his way around, the 25-year-old from Melbourne. He was very happy, both he and Jim, to pick up 5th at Sandown. They said they could have done a little bit better, but they made a little mistake towards the end there, but nonetheless a good top 5 result and a good preparation for this. Steve finished 12th in the Australian Touring Car Championship this year, previous Australian Formula Ford champ. Very talented driver, and he's beginning to go in the footsteps of his dad in terms of the diversity of vehicles that he has driven and is driving.
Yeah, someone say that when Jimmy's in his old age at the retirement village, he'll set up a race for wheelchairs. Because the guy, if it's got wheels on it, Jimmy will race it. He's driven everything from Formula Fords to rally cars to truck racing to Thunderdome, Oscar and NASCAR racing. Phenomenal talent. Windscreens O'Brien driver profile for Mark Larkham in the Falcon EL. Australian Formula Ford champion back in 1989. He also won the Amaru Series that same year. Second in the Gold Star Championship for Formula Holden cars twice in 1992 and 93. He won the Indonesian Grand Prix for Formula Holdens that same year as well. So he's a guy with diverse experience in open wheelers and touring cars. And we really hope he can bring this one home and turn that luck around. It'll be, the champagne will taste very sweet if he makes it onto the podium.
It'll be a fantastic confidence boost for Mark Larkham heading into the 1998 season. If he can remain where he is, or in fact Go one better, get up into second, perhaps. A win is not out of the chance. Anything could happen, as we have seen already today. We are inside 20 laps of the finish of the 1997 Primus 1000 Classic. Stay with us here on your home of Motorsport Network 10. We'll be back right after this.